me gearing up for war, don't get it mixed up. I come in peace, I'm bringing commentary and the new releases. I put them hours in to get my play on, but don't get destroy you, tear down. If I don't keep your head to fix up, box babies put the see me gearing mixed up. Kid, carry hands, I put to get prepared now. We play on expert level, don't get scared now. When I'm forza, if you ain't tuned in, head down.
Spoken like a person who calibrates his jackets quite well to the occasion. Right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
That's right. Like I used to do the same. I lived in New York. I lived in
All
Boston for many years.
Yeah.
So when I moved down here, I had to learn to no. They don't mean like a short, like a small jacket. They mean no jacket at all. Like no jacket.
Yeah. Hey, so
at home, you're good.
So we are now officially live. I just wanted to say that before you said too much. Like, yeah, my social security number is also
yes.
Hargeet, thanks for jumping in, bro.
Yo. How's it going, guys?
Hey.
Going on.
Hey, so thank you guys for joining us on The Fix tonight. We are having a Halo Roundtable, and we are joined by some exquisite guests. I'm going to use some very nice, complimentary words for them. We are joined by the Avengers of content and community greats tonight. Hargeet just joined us, and so Everborn may be joining us, guys. Just as a heads up, he is busy. Hopefully, he can make it once he's free. And I've invited a bunch of other guys that may jump in as well. So just as a heads up. But without further ado, let me start addressing our guests, starting with you, Kay Asante, my multi-talented gaming circle podcast host, brother. Thank you for joining us, my man, and tell the good folks what you've been up to, and and what, well, maybe not necessarily what you've been up to lately, but it's up to you, I suppose. But yeah.
No, it's all good. It's all good. I'm always grateful to be asked back on this show. I enjoy what you guys do. Try to catch it every week. So I appreciate y'all. It's good to be here. Let's see. What have I been doing? I've been huddled in the middle of a hall, in the middle of my living room, with my family, looking all around in fear and terror and hoping that my house doesn't blow away. No, just kidding. Well, no, I'm not kidding. That actually did happen.
Man.
Hurricane season and all that. Yes, it was crazy. Anyway, but while the best part about having a hurricane and everybody knowing about it, specifically the people that you work with, is they cut you some slack so you can like not have to work all day. So the last couple of days I've been playing some games.
There we go. There we go.
That's what I've been doing.
What games did you get a chance to get your hands on?
So I have a couple, as is known about me. I tend to be a person who has multiple games in the works at all times.
You're a dabbler, we would say. A dabbler.
I'm a dabbler.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I'll let that one slide. I'll allow it.
Not a diddler. Hey, not a diddler.
All right, let's get it started.
Let's rein that one in, sir. There you go.
Yes,
all
sir.
Right.
Yes, sir.
No. So let's see. So I have a cheap plug on my show this coming week. I have a developer coming on who made the game, which is actually in demo form right now on Steam, called Jotun Slayer: Hordes of Hell. It kind of looks like a Diablo 4, but basically Vampire Survivor like for Diablo 4.
That sounds like a W.
So the graphics are it's great. And and obviously Jotun Slayer, so it's very much
Viking-esque.
Viking mythology, exactly. So there's a lot of really cool stuff, and they've had a demo on there for a while, and now they're adding more to the demo. They're adding a ranged character, this and that, and the third. It's this very small team doing beautiful looking work. So I've been playing a lot of that. They gave me early access to that demo that actually should be released today, if I'm not mistaken. So anybody can play it. It's called the Odin Slayer.
Yep, you're right.
So
it's up
been
there.
playing a lot of that.
I'm looking at it right now.
It's really
it does look good.
Oh yeah, bro. I first saw this when I was lucky enough to get to go to Gamescom.
Yeah,
they were one of the folks who I actually was able to interview and chat with, and they wouldn't let me put it out, but they were like, look, we're a small team, we're putting this together, and people will like it eventually. And now that the time is drawing near, and they're showing more stuff. We spoke in the background, and one of their designers was going to come on the show this weekend, and we're going to talk to them about it.
Oh, that's dope.
So yeah,
man.
I've been playing that. So more people should play it. It's actually really fun, even in the small demo form. It's quite enjoyable. I've been having a good time there.
Nice.
And let's see. So and Achilles, Legends Untold.
Nice. I played a bunch of that. Yeah.
Yeah. It starts off kind of slow.
Mm-hmm.
It has a little bit of that indie vibe. Not necessarily the
definitely.
best.
A little bit of the
vibe.
indie jank. Yeah.
Yeah, it's got a little bit of rough edges.
Yep.
But as you get into it, it's pretty fun. It's
Mhm.
good.
I
It's good.
agree.
You get into that swing. You get into that flow with it. I've been enjoying that. I actually just started that yesterday. I've been playing a game called Kill Night, which actually just came out on Xbox as well as everywhere else, I think.
Yes, I have that on my wish list.
Yep, they provided me a code for it. I've been playing it. I'm like, I'm not going to review this until I beat it, which is a tall order. Because damn, this game is hard.
I like that though.
It is hard.
I prefer
But it's
beating
fun.
the
It's
game
fun.
before I give a full thought on it though. So I appreciate
Yeah,
that.
because I want to see every aspect of it, right?
Mhm.
So like it is hard. Like it is damn hard. And the best part about it is the controls are so precise that as soon as you fail, you know exactly where you failed, and you can make a plan for next time.
So it's pretty
really
fair
fun.
then that it's largely
Very fair.
Okay, that's good. That's good. I like that
Yeah,
when
very fair.
you know that it's something a fault of your own versus just some cheap,
Yes.
jank or something like that messed you up.
Yes.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
It is a manic rhythmic dance you do with the controls on that game. It's amazing.
You
But
gotta
so
throw
there's
that in your review. You know that, right? you got to use those series of words. It's a manic series of rhythmic, brutal battle that you have to have. You got to have that in there somehow.
The flowery language. I
Yes,
understand.
yes.
Yes.
But that's
And
that's
then finally, shout out to Halo Master Chief Collection.
yes.
With all the Halo news, I had to throw that back in the deck. I've been playing that for a little bit.
And
But that's it for me.
in yours though, you had to add. You'd used I believe a visual mod with yours, right?
Well, it's not a visual mod. There's some interesting things going on in Halo, specifically Halo MCC, in the modding space. There are a few options that are there. I've been actually trying one, and I'm going to try another one very soon. The first one I was trying, the one that I think you saw, was someone took the Halo 3 ODST engine,
Right.
and then they remade Halo Combat Evolved, right? Well, they haven't remade the whole thing. A few key levels they've remade. And if you remember how the story plays out, you remember how things go, it does play out that way exactly as you would remember. But it looks like Halo ODST. Like graphically, it just looks like it. It's amazing. It's
Looks
beautiful.
really good.
As compared to the original one. And they've even added a few odds and ends, just little touches here and there, where in the original game maybe there wasn't a turret there, or the turret that was unusable. In this one, it is usable.
Right.
Things like that. They've added little things like that. So yeah, that's really fun. What I'm going to try out, which I'm kind of testing right now, and Mr. Pinky in the Air 4070 over here, maybe you want to try this out as well. With the advent of mod tools, you can add ray tracing to all of Halo MCC. It needs a lot of overhead. You need to have a lot of gigs.
Well, I
need to have,
with my
gigs
new
of RAM.
masterful, PC.
Here we go.
I
I needed a chance for you to go there. Yes, indeed.
pinky
Indeed.
finger is in the air right now, folks.
That's
I kid
right,
you
that's
not.
right.
Definitely,
But no, it
definitely.
produces some cool results. You should give it a shot.
I have to give it a shot, bro. Just want to give a shout out to all the guests in the chat. Thank you all for coming through. I see my brother Shane just joined. What's up, Shane? Now, Shane, if you all didn't know, is Shane Bailey below. He was the gentleman who ran the Halo 2 table read for us. Very talented brother. I'm not going to go into all of his business because I know I can't do that. But yes, we're also talking about doing a Halo 3 table read. Speaking of all things Halo.
Nice.
Yes, I cannot wait to do it again.
That'd be dope.
Oh man, I love that. You might want to try to, hey, if you all feel like getting you testing your voice, your voice box out, hit Shane up, hit me up, and I'll let him know whatever. I did Tartarus. I
do recall. Yes, it was good.
Yes, you recall.
Yes. Now we'll move to our next guest. Okay, I'm sorry. I could have done better than that. But yes. Moving on. Oh, what up? I see. Oh, I kind of mentioned people, but then just went away from that. I see you, Septic Sauce, my brother. What's good? Yes, Gray. I'm going to talk about PC a few times to upset you. Gray, our mod, of course. I see you, Kay. I see you, John Wolf. What's up, brother? Fuzzy, I see you. I see you, Timmy. Coffee, what's up, brother? Thank you. By the way, Coffee drops as Boom would say, a generous $4.99 donation. He says, showing some support. Appreciate you for that, brother. Max City ENT. Soil Tech. What's up, everybody? Let me get back to our guests. Secondly, who joined in, and I hit the chat and I said, hey guys, I want to do this Halo Roundtable. And these gentlemen jumped up and said, I got you. That's the sense of camaraderie and brotherhood in the community that I love right there in the Xbox community. So shout out to all of you for doing that in the chat. And that man being Pixelbit G. Pixelbit G, thank you for joining us. Not too much. It's the second time you've been here with us. Appreciate you joining us.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. So, I mean, it's going to be a conversation about Halo.
Mm-hmm.
I want in, right? So,
absolutely.
The minute you said, oh, yeah, let's have a discussion about, what's going on with the series, okay, well, I can find time for that. So, but, in terms of, gameplay and stuff, I've been really too damn busy to play anything, but I did start some of that metaphor, and it's kind of fire. So they might have a cell in their hands. Yeah, it might be a Weibo. That's 6%. Yeah.
So you've been trying the prologue demo out. Okay, I hear you. I loved it. I loved it, man. I did a preview right up for it, as you know, and I'm getting it probably tomorrow. I'll be buying it, but loved it. I wish I could have got the review copy to do what I had to do, the key rather, should I say, but loved it.
We all tried.
Is it me, or are they singing like the Jamaican song "Limb by Limb" when you're doing the battle?
It does sound like that.
I swear it sounds like it's like Simma. I'm like, what the fuck?
Who got the keys to me, baby?
Yeah, right. I was like a little confused. You know what I'm saying?
He'd be like,
right, yeah. Okay. So it wasn't just me, right? So I'm like, yo, Sick. Now I understand why Sick loving so much. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, oh, they pulling out the 80s hits on y'all. You know what I mean?
Sick was Sick was over there dirty wine, and he was over there like rolling his hips around like he was at a Diddy party. I see you, Sick.
Oh, man.
He's not here to defend himself. So.
Oh man.
Oh, but yeah. So you've been on you played the prologue, and
I'm actively playing the prologue.
Yeah.
So I'll try to get through it over the weekend if I have enough time. But so far, man, so good. It's so good. So they've earned themselves a purchase.
Nice.
You know what I'm saying? So
very nice.
Yeah, very nice.
You get any chance to try now? I know you're busy, brother. So have you ever had a chance to try out anything else, or has it really just been a demo for you for now?
Yeah, that and a little bit of Shadow Space during the week, but
Nice.
playing that on GeForce Now because Xbox PC app decided that I can't play my game. So
sucks.
You know how that goes. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So
I had a bit of that trouble, but I figured it out thanks to our brother Lucius who helped me out. But I have been playing Starfield 2 as well, and I'm also playing Broken Sword. I don't know if you all remember that game. You all remember Broken Sword? Old point and click game from back in '96.
it sounds familiar. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
they did a remaster for it, and I'm playing. It's called Reforged, I think, something like that. But yeah.
Oh, actually, there's one more game that I'm playing.
What's that?
Right now? Which is it Kill the Princess?
Mm.
And Asante was talking about it, I think, in the chat at some point, and it is absolute bananas.
That's that creepy game, right? Where you like
That is that creepy
I
black
saw
and white.
that.
It kind of plays like for all the old heads, it plays like Myst right? Where you're talking to the narrator and you're taking turns and like moving through the world,
Yeah.
through like one selection at a time. But the narrative and the nonsense that's going on in this game is absolutely brilliant. So I've gotten through like a couple of the loops already,
Mm-hmm.
and it just gets creepier and creepier. It is 100% worth the buy if you could find if you play on Steam. So
That's
thank
dope.
you, Asante, for finding me another goddamn game to make me not play other games I'm supposed to play. So I appreciate
That
y'all.
actually, that's an
Y'all are
MJ
bad.
Dark special. That one. He was the part
Oh,
of
it
that
was dark.
convention
Okay,
with us.
okay,
Yes,
nice,
that's
nice.
an MJ Dark special. Absolutely.
And just as a bonus, that it's a little non-game related bonus. I just got my fucking. Oh, am I allowed to curse?
Yeah,
Oh, my bad.
you good.
I just
I think
got
they changed the
my
rules.
Megatron.
Yeah.
I just got my Robeson Megatron.
Your Robeson Megatron.
Yes.
What's that?
Yes. So I have there's a series of these voice controlled robot transformers.
Oh, the one that you can
Figures.
speak to and it transforms for you.
Uh-huh. Yes.
You got
yes,
that?
Yes. Yes, I already have I have 2 Bumblebees, I have Grimlock, I have Optimus Prime plus his trailer. So they've been basically getting me every year for at least one of these guys.
Yo, do you know my
So,
nephew would go crazy if he saw
game,
that?
Bro, listen, I haven't opened it yet because I had I recently moved, so they shipped it to the wrong place, and I'm like, bro, please don't let them steal my joint.
Give me my
Send
stuff.
it to me. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I was able to catch it and get it rerouted. So because these are like a G a piece, right? But they just dropped it off. So yeah, I'm kind of hyped right now. So
Man,
I'm gonna
feel
be playing
you.
with that a little bit this weekend, like a big ass kid. So there it is.
I feel you, man. Listen, I am a little bit jealous. I won't lie, because I've seen the Transformer for Optimus Prime when they do it. And the Autobots roll out and he transforms. I'm like, that is so dope. Yeah, my nephew, most of my family would love if they said we had one of that. I'll be honest. Coming from my uncle to me to my nephew, like my nephew is like he's in love with Transformers. Like he has blankets and sheets and everything. I'm like, well,
That's what's up.
yeah. So he will be all over that. Maybe I might have to hook him up for that, like was Christmas or something.
Check it out. At least I got my son the Bumblebee. So Bumblebee talks, he walks, like he reacts. He doesn't transform. But all the other ones do, you know what I'm saying? But it's Bumblebee, so they like Bumblebee.
Is this the modern Bumblebee or the chump version back in the day?
No. This is G1.
So
this is G1, bro.
Okay.
All this is G1. Yeah.
Now he's more of a chump back then. You know that, right? He wasn't the Bumblebee we see now. The Bumblebee we see now.
Yeah. He was more of a kid, right?
Yeah.
He's like a little teenager. Yeah.
So, he was Prime, I'm ready, and then he get beat up. But on the new Bumblebee is actually taking people's throats.
Yeah.
And taking
a
their
warrior.
heads off. Right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But man, no, that's dope. So moving on to our newly joined guest, Hargeet Chani. My brother, thank you for joining in, my man. And listen, just before you go, I gotta give you this love, because I was watching you guys the other day on GTL, and I know you all had this kind of heated debate and everything like that. And I'm like, at first I didn't understand what you guys were talking about until I went back to check it out. And I'm like, what's this talk about the Kratos and all of that, right? And I even told a few people earlier, I'm like, oh, Hargeet was right about something. So at first I went in there, I'm like, well, Hargeet was wrong about Kratos in particular, because Sony made that, blah, 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 David Jaffe, whatever. And I was like, well, he's absolutely right about Spider-Man. Sony does not own Spider-Man, et cetera, et cetera. Somebody commented, was like, no, he's right. And I said, let me see something just before I run my mouth and try to trash this guy. Looked it up, and wouldn't you believe it, there is literally a Greek god of strength, of the personification of strength, named Kratos in the Greek mythology. I was like, wow, Hargeet was absolutely correct. So I just had to give you your flowers for that. Had to give you your flowers, because I know a lot of people were coming at you to take your head off, if you will. But so just wanted to give you a bit of that. But yeah, man.
Yeah, I guess we can just clarify the whole thing. Is basically Herman Hulst put out that Concord was going to be one of their most important IPs, displacing potentially Horizon. And I'm like, what? are you out of your mind? Like, so that was originally what we all thought, and then I thought about the whole thing, and I'm like, wait a minute, like Horizon probably does outdo most of their IPs at this point, outside of Spider-Man, which obviously that's Spider-Man, it's
Right,
huge,
Spider-Man.
but that's not their IP.
True.
And then I think the other one would be God of War. I think that one's pretty big, but I'm
Hmm.
like, you can't possibly lock that down because it's a public thing. It's a public domain figure, so you can't take like the Valhalla thing, right, with Thor and all. There's a freaking Marvel Thor, and
True.
they have Thor in their game. Like, you can't lock that. That's it's just totally open, right? So I think he's right because Horizon is fully theirs.
Yep.
You can't copy it. It's their entire IP. It's like, maybe he's right that is at this point. I'm like, you gotta look at Ghost of Tsushima, but like Ghost of Yotai isn't looking all that good, and he might know that. And then you're like, okay, well, what about Last of Us? Because that's got to be pretty big, right? But the last game kind of faltered a bit. And
Kinda
then you look at
tanked a bit,
Uncharted, it's
yeah.
like, and then you look at Uncharted, and you're like, well, they kind of ended that Nathan Drake thing. They kind of just put a bow tie on that, and you're like, okay, maybe they go on to his daughter or something, but we don't know where that's gonna go. So like, I'm sitting there, wait a minute, I think he might be right. Right? Not about Concord, obviously, that failed miserably, but Horizon might actually be their biggest IP right now. That's pretty crazy to think when they have this breadth of things. You're like, holy crap, man.
Yeah.
But okay. And then I got like lambasted for it. I'm like, what do you want me to say? It's Herman
Yeah.
saying it. I'm trying to give him props.
It
Like,
was
what do you
funny.
want-
It was funny because I think some of the best moments you all have on that show is when you all have like these contentious debates. Although I know
Yep.
that they seem to kind of get heated. I don't know how it is behind the scenes with you guys, but it sometimes
Of
seems like it
course,
gets
we're all
heated.
friends, right? So
Yeah.
it's like, I think it's fun for the audience when we like go back and forth like that. So
Mhm.
it's good.
But a lot of people were mad with you, like, "Oh, Hargeet, oh," and I'm like, "Okay,
Yeah.
yeah," but it was something.
Like,
But
try to give a Sony exec some props, and then apparently people get all pissed off.
well, you got to remember, you are an X-bot. You can't be talking about Sony. You know how it works.
Right?
You know the rules, and so do
Right.
I. But yeah, brother, what have you been playing? What have you been up to?
Man, I haven't had time to play anything, which sucks. So I'm gonna try to find time to play Metaphor, but I don't know if
Okay.
I will. Tomorrow I'm gonna be busy almost all day, and then Saturday I have to go to a birthday party for a high school friend of mine.
Okay.
He's turning 50, and so that's kind of shot. So maybe that night, maybe Saturday night, I'll be able to play something.
Yeah.
Sunday I'm booked all day, and I'm like, God damn it.
Yeah, I definitely. I heard you mention that about your friend 50th birthday. So yeah, I understand that. Half a
Yeah.
century right there, right? Definitely got to come
Yep.
through. I get it. But yeah, man. Thank you for joining us tonight. We are going to move on to my illustrious co-host with the illustrious hair and the Thor-like physique, seeing how he stands at 6 feet tall, 6'4" rather. My apologies, Thor. Daniel J. McGee.
What's up? It's actually 6'5", not that it matters.
Oh,
but I'm
oh,
counting.
I apologize, sir.
That's right. I don't know. Definitely don't have the physique of Thor, though. I am a fat nerd who plays video games.
Yeah,
So it kind of balances out, I would say.
Thor. You're Thor before he transforms. You're what's his name? What's his name? Donaldson.
Something like that. I'm fat Thor from the Fortnite joke. That's me. That's whereabouts I'm at.
Yeah, man. What have you been up to, man? What have you been playing?
So I've been doing one thing I really, really loved and one thing that I kind of hated. So do you want the good news first or the bad news, I guess?
Give us the bad. That way we can end it on a good note.
So I played Astro Bot.
Uh-oh.
And it's pretty bad. Like I'm
Oh, you
like,
didn't like it? Wow.
no,
Go
like not even a little bit. It's the actual like gameplay of it is fine, it's just kind of like a mediocre platformer. I mean, it doesn't have an original idea in its head, obviously, because it's a platformer, so of course it steals all of its ideas from Mario, like most platformers do. I'm not even really holding that against them.
Yeah.
But then this was the game that like really convinced me after however many years of holding this controller that it really needs the DualSense controller really needs to be put up there right next to like the N64 controller and the Duke of like worst controllers ever made.
Damn.
It's
You didn't like it, huh?
horrendous. It's absolutely horrendous. Because so here's the thing, right? I played Playroom or whatever the tech demo one was called.
Right.
And I was like, I don't know, this haptic feedback like isn't really working for me. You know, like I feel the vibrations. Like I can tell that like, oh, when I step on something soft, the vibration is longer, and when I step on something hard, the vibration is shorter. But like, so what? That's been happening for an entire generation at this point. Like this is not new tech. We had that literally we saw that in the Xbox One on the like Forza. Like that was a huge selling point for the Forza that launched with the Xbox One. Like we have had this technology. It is not new. Haptic feedback is just a thing that has existed. Like, look at your phone. What's that setting called? This is not new tech. So, like, I never really understood it. And then people were like, oh, but you play with headphones on, right? So it's the sounds that play through the controllers that, like, really sell the illusion of the like, vibration working. I was like, okay, sure. So this time I decided to play without headphones.
Yeah.
Which don't, because that bitch never shuts up. That thing is going 100% of the time. Every time you step on something or do a jump, there's sounds just playing from everywhere. It's the most annoying thing in the world. Like I cranked that volume so low because I didn't want to turn it off, because I knew that like, oh, if I turn it off again, then I'd have to have the same conversation again of like, oh, you didn't really like give it a chance with the haptic feedback. So I left it on, and it made me want to split this controller in half.
Damn.
Like it was so bad, and the sound quality from that thing is ass. It's like this teeny little shit microphone that like you would, it's like playing with a speak and spell in your hand. It's terrible. It's a terrible controller.
I have
It
to
sounds
agree.
like somebody
I couldn't
spoken from
believe
under
how-
the damn water and shit.
Like
Yeah,
I can't.
It's pretty bad.
I can't stand this thing. And so now I'm holding this controller that will not stop vibrating and won't shut up. And it's doing both to such a degree that it kills the battery in like 45 minutes. So you have to play with the thing plugged in. So it's like, okay, great, cool. And then the entire time I'm playing it, it's like, okay, so you already like don't have an original idea in your head because all of the mechanics in this game are just taken from Mario, which is like, again, it's fine, whatever. Everyone does that in the platforming space. But then on top of that, it's like you're going through this and they're like, hey, y'all remember Ape Escape? Y'all remember Legend of Dragoon? Y'all remember Killzone? I'm like, yeah, I remember those things. Do you? Where are these games?
What are the IP? Yeah.
Like you've just like, I'm walking through, like, this game is not a celebration of PlayStation. It's like visiting a graveyard where all your friends are buried.
Oh, damn.
It's like, this is not
Do not let this man get a write up a review.
And it's like, it's so disappointing too, because it's like the whole energy of it is like, wow, isn't PlayStation great? And the game came out in the middle of like PlayStation shutting down studios and firing people and having huge layoffs and like having the biggest flop possibly in video game history. And it's like, wow, PlayStation is great, right? But it's saying it with like a bruise on its eye that it's going to tell you is from walking into a door, but really, like, we know what's happening at home.
You saying it's being
It's
abused?
like, and it's like, what are we doing? Like, what are we doing? Every aspect of this game just felt like it was specifically designed to annoy the shit out of me.
That was the Dan Stapleton of Astro Bot reviews right there.
Yeah.
Man.
It's just,
Keep
so
this man away from Shattered Space.
I swear. don't you
it's
dare
just so
touch it.
annoying. I'll play with Shattered Space. Don't you?
I mean,
I think I'm gonna
that's
do
how
that
I
this
felt with the
weekend.
first one, the one that launched with the PS5.
Yeah.
I played it for a bit, and I'm like, I'm bored and annoyed. And that speaker, good God, is it like, how can you make something in 2020 have that kind of shitty ass speaker? I'm like, come on, this isn't 1960. What the? How is that speaker so bad? It is pretty
Cut it
weird.
out, man. $75. It's worth it.
It just
It just
annoys me
costs
so
nothing.
bad.
I can literally buy like $10 headphones that sound better on freaking Amazon. How could they not put a good speaker in that damn thing? It's pretty weird to me. But hey, whatever.
Damn.
And yeah, so same thing. Like Daniel, I shut the freaking stupid noise off. I'm like, I hate this stupid thing. Like whatever.
I think me and Kay are the only ones who had like a positive time with it.
Positive time, right?
I haven't
'Cause
played
I
the
knew
new
I-
one. I haven't played the new one.
I knew I
I'll
wasn't
be
getting
fair. I haven't played the new
$100
one. but-
device, right? We're getting a console in our hands. Set your expectations accordingly. I don't know. I'm sorry. Keep going.
Magnum says
I mean,
the mic is as bad as Tim Dog's.
It would be fine.
Wow.
It would be fine that the
Right,
speaker's
right
like low
through.
quality if it just like understood its place and didn't talk nonstop. Like that thing, when you're playing that game, it is constantly doing shit.
Yeah.
Ugh.
I guess
It will not shut up.
I guess it depends
What
on
did
your
you think about
tolerance
the
level
trigger
for
thing?
that. The haptics and such. What did you feel about that?
No, the
I didn't even
triggers-
really
the
notice the
haptics,
triggers
like
in this
okay.
game.
Oh, you're talking about the
the
trigger
triggers.
tension and all that. Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
the,
I didn't really
exactly.
notice that
Like
in
the
this
triggers
game.
pushing back on your fingers. I'm like, what? Get the biff out of here! What are you doing to me? I hated it. I hated it.
Yeah, I mean that's just I didn't notice that in this game. I noticed that when I was playing like Ratchet and Clank however many years ago.
Yeah.
And that did annoy me there because that made me feel like I was going to break the controller during a game that I
Yeah.
was otherwise
Oh, I
enjoying.
hated it.
Where I was like, this is a really great game. This controller is so bad that it makes me enjoy this game less. And that might be partially what was going. Like you can, I think, pretty thinly slice my issues with this game into two categories where it's like pretty much 50-50, where 50% of my disdain for this game is just the controller. And then the other 50% is just like the air of like, wow, isn't PlayStation amazing? Look at all these things that we're not doing that we could be doing instead of Concord, but we're not. And it's like shut up, dude. Like you gotta stop.
I think that was my feeling with PlayStation in general. Their controller really annoyed me so much that I ended up not enjoying a lot of their games.
Yeah, the controller's got
like now I just play them on PC.
This is it's listen, it's crazy. I know everybody has their opinion on it, so I'm not downing you on it. I notice how you feel, and some people feel like that when it comes to their controller. You're not unique to that, so I know you're not saying it to say that. Like you guys genuinely feel that way, but I actually really thought that the controller integration of that for Astro Bot was a highlight. I do understand the sound thing. I do get how that would probably be annoying after a while, but that didn't really bother me. I thought it did add little elements extra to the game personally. Though I do agree on, I think that the Astro Bot was generally overhyped. I do believe that, like a whole.
I mean,
yeah,
Astro Bot is one of the like big things that have really helped me come to this conclusion of like the reality is not what you're seeing online, right? Because I go on Twitter and people are like, oh my god, Astro Bot's the biggest thing in the world, wow, it's so great. And like you look at Metacritic and it's like 9 out of 10s, and then you go to the real world and you're like, hey, have you heard this Astro Bot game? And nobody's heard of it, no one's played it, no one cares about it. Like it's the most just like underseen game. Like I talk to people at work about gaming all the time, and I was like, yeah, I played this Astro Bot game, I didn't really like it, and they're like, never heard of it. What is that?
We got Riskit and shout out to Riskit and that blue number in the chat. Riskit is on our bumper right now. He said he called me Umbra S Daddy on point. He called you C Daniel on point.
I mean, go for it, bud. Go for it. Look, if you like Astro Bot, that's fine. Honestly, it's a point in favor of like, I just will trust your opinion slightly less.
Yeah. Yeah. What up, Garuda?
But no, the positive.
What's
Let's talk about the
yes? What's the
good
positive?
thing.
Yes.
So hey, that Rings of Power a season finale rolled in hot. That show is so good. It might be like the best thing on TV this year. Honestly,
it's
like
so
not exaggerating.
I see so many mixed reactions for that here. I see people that are saying they hated it.
I think if the people are saying they hated it, those people need to have their head checked, because it's like the most beautiful, well acted, like cinematic masterpiece that has been on television in 2024, and I don't think it's even close.
Okay.
The only thing that might take its cake is this Penguin show's been pretty good so far, but we're like 3 episodes in, so I'm not going to count those penguin eggs before they hatch.
I gotta watch those. Yeah, I've heard nothing but positives about Penguin. Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah, I
Rings of
see what you
Power
did
is-
there.
Thank you. But Rings of Power is absolutely phenomenal. Like it really has been making me rethink like the rankings of like actors in my head. Like they're genuinely some of the best performances that I've seen this year have come from Rings of Power. The guy who plays Celebrimbor, or Kellogg's Blueberry if you prefer, I think his name's
Blueberry.
Charles something. He is phenomenal. He has one bit like near the end of the season where he's yelling at Sauron, and it's like, this should be in a movie. Like this is an Oscar moment.
What is he yelling at him? Take me, I'm here.
Not exactly.
Kill me.
I feel like I shouldn't say because it's like a big spoiler, but I mean,
Yeah, it's really spoiling. I just saw that the first 2 episodes, so yeah.
it's like, look, it's like pretty. It's heated. All right, there's some things going on. But the guy who plays Sauron's like phenomenal too. He's super good.
Nice.
The way he just switches back and forth from like toxic boyfriend to like Thanos level threat in a blink of an eye is unheard of. It's really, really something special.
Yeah, that sounds dope, man. I got to check it out. Later, Risk It, man. Yeah, have a safe flight out. He's headed to PAX. But yeah, and Risk It does cheat as much as possible. I agree, that blue number. Although one thing he could not cheat his way out of was that ass whooping I gave him in Fight Night. He could not cheat his way out of that. Oh, he won't forget that beating anytime soon. Oh no, he won't. I had Muhammad Ali. I had Muhammad Ali. He had Mike Tyson, and I was taunting him the whole way. I was like, "This is ridiculous, Coach. Why can't I hit him? This is not how it's supposed to go."
Wow.
I was just boxing that man up, and I had him so frustrated. He was like, Umbra. He was shouting. You all have to watch
Probably
that.
wanted to bite your ear for real.
Oh yeah, no diddy. Yeah. But listen, without further ado, I think we'll skip ahead, Danny, of the read back of the news roundup, because we need to get straight to this discussion for Halo.
Sure thing.
So listen, chat family, if you guys have any questions you want to pose to the table here, spell it right and address it, and put question before it. Put question, then put your statement, and we'll mention it when we get a chance to. What's up, Yo Donnie? The first question I have for you guys, and again, we have a free form kind of style here, but I do want to get to the guests first before we give our thoughts on it. And I'll start with UK, work our way to Pixel, then to you, Hargeet, and then we will chime in after the fact. But again, you all can interject respectfully as you can. Number one, what was your initial reaction to this rebranding, Kay?
The rebranding specifically?
Yeah, like the whole thing of them, I guess, changing their name
The
from
studio
343. Yeah, all of that good
Yeah.
stuff. Do you think this is a
Yeah,
real
yeah.
positive? Like, what's your feelings on it?
So okay, I'm of two minds here on this, right? I have the altruistic mind, and I have the cynical brain a little bit. So my altruistic mind, when I first heard this, was I understand what they're doing. They're charting a new course. They're changing their engine for one reason or another. They're moving forward in a new direction. They've gotten rid of the old baggage, so to speak.
Mhm.
So now they're trying to turn the page by changing their name, right? I can see it. So that was my first thought. But then the other side of my brain went, yeah, that's what happens when 343 has that Stankonia on it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
To the point where even when you're doing your best work, the minute you say 343, all of a sudden, we don't expect that much from you. You know what I'm saying? Because you've disappointed people so many times. There's that. And I guess this will probably lead us to the further discussion, but it's just the whole picture that they painted for me breathed a lot of reboot, reimagining energy. And I'm like, God damn it, there's another fight that the Master Chief won't get to finish.
Right.
Yep.
That was it for me.
Yeah, I definitely can see that view. Let me ask you. Well, I guess I'll come back to that after we get a chance in a second. What about you, Pixel? What was your thoughts about this whole rebranding here? Positive, negative? What was your takeaway?
I mean, I think I'm kind of neutral on it. A lot like what Kay Asante is saying is like you've basically ruined the name, right? So there's no point in continuing the name. But I will add to his comment that I think Xbox will be doing the same soon too. So brace yourself, suckers. So
you think it's gonna be a Halo, an Xbox
No,
rebranding? You're saying
Microsoft Studios or some shit.
okay.
Whatever, right?
That sounds kind of
but,
third party publisher-y.
Well, I mean, it's what they used to be anyway, right?
That's true.
When the great Halos were released, they were released from the publisher Microsoft Publishing, Microsoft Studios, not the new
games.
Xbox Studios,
Yeah.
right? That only happened recently, so I wouldn't be surprised if they go back. But so just the name change, like, big deal, right? It is what it is. Their reasons for doing it, I guess it makes sense. But the good thing that we got out of it at least is that you're going to be making more Halo campaign content. Great, right? Um, Personally, I wish they didn't go with showing like you know Halo CE visuals. Reimagining those worlds, but I understand why they would, specifically because we don't know they're doing a reboot, but because they did show this kind of imagery, people are like, oh, it's gonna be a reboot, right?
Right.
And I've played that game a lot of times, right? And I want new stories. And additionally, like I'm an Atriox fan, so I would like to know what the hell happened to Atriox
I
at
need to
some
know.
point in my life before I leave Earth, right?
100%. Yeah.
So I'm praying and hoping they didn't do my boy dirty like they did
The
Didact.
Didact.
You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
that one
So,
still upsets me to this day.
yeah, because like a lot of people complain about the story and they don't feel like that they can go from here. But personally, I see a lot of ways they can take the story from here. Right? There's still an entire ring of banished on it. Right?
True.
There's a lot of stories to be told. There's still a lot of Spartans missing. So I'll leave it at that, until we get to the further conversation. So,
Okay.
but nice new name. Hey, that's cool. Your logo looks like shit. But
Wow.
but the laser etching did look nice. They zap it in,
Yeah.
that was fire. But the final, I'm like, what is this blob? But
Hey, listen.
yeah, so
I'm fine with the name change, but I agree with you. I do not care for the logo. I know some people like, you all are complaining about the logo. It's just, we can be critical about it. It's not a
this is the
negative.
first time y'all heard me say anything about the logo. I'm just noting it, but I'm not gonna turn it into my life to make a hate campaign about
Exactly.
it. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Some people don't want to hear you say anything negative.
Well, I
Or
mean,
what they perceive
it
as
is what it
negative.
is.
Yeah.
Don't block me and shit, but it is what it is.
Right.
No,
No, I'm with you. I don't care for the logo either. I'm sorry. I think maybe it'd have been better just to use the Halo logo we know. I think that would have made more sense. But even if not that,
Yeah,
just something that
even go back to the
identifies it.
older Halo logos, like something that felt more like a Halo logo, but
Mhm.
it is what it is. so.
100%. 100%. Agree with a lot of that for sure. Hargeet, what was your initial thoughts, brother?
So not looking into the change to UE and all that, just the change in studios. I think it's a good move. I think like essentially 343 was Bonnie Ross, right? And you now have a new head that wants to like say, we're going a different direction now, and I don't want to have any of the mentality or the leadership status, style, whatever you want to call it, of Bonnie. It's going to be my way, and let's start a new path, and let's be different about the way we do Halo. So I kind of like that he wants to just forge a new path, pun intended.
Yeah.
I like it. Yes. The logo thing, I want to like make it very clear that there's a distinction being made here, that we're not going to be looking at the past. So I don't think they wanted to touch anything they had before. So I think they specifically wanted to do something new, and I like, so that's my take on that. And I kind of like that. I kind of like that they want to say, no, we're not about what used to be. We're about what's coming. And like, this is going to be the new way, and we're going to be creatively different, creatively, bold. We're going to go in different directions. Like, I think that's what they're really hinting at, which is kind of cool. So I understand people who want to like, stick to the old stuff. That's fair. I get it. But like, there's also need to kind of modernize to newer games. So I think there's some potential there for them to be bolder and go into new directions. I also like the fact that they're saying they're making multiple games instead of just one game at a time, especially given games take forever to make. So I like that they're going to be focusing on multiple. They're also like going
Definitely
to head
like
up other
that.
people.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly, right. So that's a cool thing that's going on there. I like Pierre's energy. I like it. I like the way he's showcasing himself. Like I'd never seen him, heard him before.
Me either, actually.
so-
Now that you mention that, have you guys ever
Yeah.
actually heard him speak before? that video doc right there, I guess.
He specifically pointed out the fact that he's been avoiding cameras and interviews for 10 years.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. So
You know,
yeah.
you'd
So
be excused
I'd-
if you hadn't heard him speak before.
That would
Right?
that would explain
So-
it.
So this is the first time I got to see him, hear him, I'm liking it. I'm liking the energy. I like the way he is. Like, this is great. So I'm hoping for good things. We'll see if it actually pans out to be good. But so far, so good. I'm very excited about the things that they're doing. We started this with a whole other thing coming out with they're going third person optional. Like that's freaking crazy, right? And like, okay, and then they just drop this right afterwards. You're like, all right, so they really are. They mean it. They're gonna go in bold directions, right? So,
Yeah.
I kind of like it. So I kind of like the energy. We'll see where that actually leads. So I say, like I did when it came out, it happened right during Web Day. Like we were in our podcast, it dropped right then.
Oh, you all
on
were live
Sunday.
when it happened. Okay.
It was live. We watched it live. Like, it was
Oh,
great.
wow.
And my 3-word answer was hell fucking yes. It's about time something happened. We need to see new energy, right? So
Yeah.
I'm with it. I like it. That's not even going into the fact that they're changing engines. We'll get into that piece, I guess.
Yeah,
But,
100%. Now, it gave me it rejuvenated a brother. And I never was against the Halo or anything like that. I know a lot of the fan base is like Halo, but that's Halo fans in general. They kind of have this negative disposition. I've learned a lot of them, not all, of course, but yeah, man. This was like pure adrenaline being injected into my veins. I could even contain myself properly. We had an infinite discussion for pre-record for it, and I was all over the place. I couldn't properly, get my points out the way I wanted to, as I normally would. That's how excited I was. But we just had a guest join in. I know that you can only come by for a second, as you were, or minute or few, because you were busy. And but I love coffee. Coffee, what's up, brother? Thanks for joining us. Can you hear us? Can you hear me, rather? You may have stepped away. Hold on, let me check to make sure that your settings are all good. Yeah, you should be fine. I'll come back to you, Coffee, if you're still there. I can't hear you, and I don't see anything moving to show that you're here. Well, I'll come back to you. Danny, what was your takeaway? What was your and please don't be pessimistic or skeptical. I need some good energy from you.
No, I mean, I put out a whole video about this, like, pretty shortly after it happened.
Yeah.
Which I take it you didn't watch.
I didn't get a chance to yet. I will watch it though.
No, you're good. You're good. No, I'm pretty optimistic about this. Actually, I'm pretty happy about this. I think it makes a lot of sense. It's really giving themselves the best opportunity to be successful going forward. It's this really weird thing where I keep hearing people being like, oh, they're just changing their name to try and get away from 343, and it's like, that's definitely part of it, but you have to also keep in mind that it's a completely different team at this point. Like, almost every single person who was in a position of power, or honestly most of the people at the studio, period, from the time that Halo Infinite launched, aren't there anymore. Like, straight up, they just do not work in that building. Some of them left, a lot of them were fired. What's his ass went to Netflix for whatever reason. Like, it's a different team. So really, it's a completely different studio. They're in the same, it's like same chairs, different butts, So we're really looking at a completely different chapter, which is kind of how they describe it in their press release. Is like, this is chapter 3. First was Bungie, then was 343. Now it's us.
True.
And I think that's a really good idea going forward. I love this idea that they're doing this like Project Foundry thing where they're making a whole bunch of new assets and stuff that they're going to use going forward. I think that's really interesting. Gives them a time to sort of play in the space before they actually like make the next game. I think that's a really smart idea. I mean, I think it's pretty clear at this point that the best thing that they could do is probably just like at least start with the Halo CE remake and then like potentially reboot the thing, because Halo's audience is only shrinking at this point. Like, it is what it is. Like, it is impenetrable to new players.
Right.
The lore and story of that universe is just some of the most. It's like Final Fantasy complicated at this point, and it doesn't need to be.
Yeah, and there's so much more they can do with it too. And I have a question, definitely for the table for that too.
For sure.
Could you
So
guys
yeah,
hear me
I'm
now or no?
pretty excited about this. I think.
Yeah, I hear you, Coffee. Give me 1 second. I'll get right to you. Okay.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, no, but I'm excited about this. I think that it's the right direction going forward. I'm cautiously optimistic, right? Like I need to obviously wait a certain amount and see like what their plan is, because right now we don't really know anything about that. But from what I can tell, they're correcting pretty much all of the problems that I had with their studio. So
I'm with you
Should be
on
good.
that. A lot of different changes in leadership. I like that, they brought Pierre in as they have. He seems like a no nonsense kind of guy. Like he just wants to get the job done. We've heard about how he turned around at MCC. We saw it too, to be fair, and he did a great job there. So I have a lot of faith in him, in particular, to help right the ship. And I agree with you all. Like the whole like shift change to get away from, and of course the 343 name is part of it, of course. But for one, I like Halo Studios better than 343, although it doesn't roll off the tongue as freely. I would just say that logo needs a bit work, but other than that, I do like the whole idea of something fresh. I hate when I see people like, this is their last chance. It's like, who are you to dictate that?
Yeah,
Like, what are
have
you
no
talking
idea.
about? Like, yeah.
That's the other thing, right? Because this is another thing, like the Astro Bot thing, where it's just like there's such a huge difference between perception and reality, where like everyone constantly is like, oh, the Halo games have been terrible since 343 took over. But then you look at it and it's like, well, okay, well they've all still reviewed really well. They've all still sold better than, like, each one is sold better than the previous Halo. I'm relatively confident.
Yep.
So it's like, by what metric are they bad? Oh, because you don't like them. Okay, cool. I mean, I don't like them either, so I agree.
It's a
but, like,
revisionist history for sure, man. I was talking
Yeah.
about that the other day. It was like people like all of a sudden Halo Infinite was bad. It's like, no, it wasn't. Like, that's a great game. Just didn't lack content initially. After the first few months, I guess people were like, oh, where's the content? And that was really it. Other than that, if the content had been flowing, from that shift they made to go to live service like that, like, I don't think it would have been as big a problem, But Coffee, man, thanks for joining in. I know you don't have a long time to be with us, of course, but what was your thoughts on the rebranding here with Halo Studios now, and what's your general feeling about this new direction?
I think it's a great direction. Again, I want to be very clear. Like, it's still 343 Studios. It's not. It's there's a lot of, the infrastructure is still there. Obviously, the rebranding has to do with the reimagining of what they want Halo to be. There is multiple projects in the works. There are things happening, kind of behind the scenes, that have to do a lot with UE5, and as of just a few days ago, we had the VP of Sony walking around different studios, trying to basically just clarify their direction.
You're talking about he was walking around in Xbox Studios, you say?
Yeah, no comment. But anyway, the direction here is essentially what a lot of people have been thinking, in the sense of like UE5 being a very, very good engine for multi-platform usage. Now, I know a lot of people don't want to hear that, because a lot of people are like, hey, we want our Xbox stuff on our Xbox. But the reality is that Xbox wants to make money, and they're going to make the most money taking this direction. I mean, and I would highly encourage that Sony inevitably do the same, which is going to happen inevitably, no matter how you cut it, just because of the landscape of the industry, of the economy, the economic situation right now all around the world. I mean, companies are looking to make as much money as they can, and you're looking to make it as fast as possible. It's no longer games cost more money to develop. They can't sit there and just keep dumping money into something and hopefully will the gods to
ROI
exactly.
and all that. Yeah.
I mean, I see Hargeet on a lot of almost every podcast I watch, which is crazy. I don't know how he does it, but I can definitely just kind of echo what he was stating previously about just using The Last of Us as a prime example of that. Last of Us Part 2, it sold big time, but then it just fell off completely, and that's something that Sony doesn't want to happen anymore. I believe they want their whatever they're going to dump a shit ton of money into. I'm sorry, can I curse on here? I don't know if I can.
Well, everybody else has, so you're good. Go ahead.
Okay. Dumping so much money into something and then wanting that ROI. That's the same concept here. I mean, it's business. So what we're gonna see is essentially just that. We're gonna see Halo and Gears and other IPs go across to different consoles and different, just different platforms and have that ability. Now, I know I just went off on a complete tangent, but Halo as a whole is in good hands at this moment in time. I mean, I'm going to say this: a lot has changed since Bonnie Ross has kind of stepped away. That old school logic of Halo has pretty much changed dramatically. Even like Frank O'Connor stepping away, there was kind of an old school rhetoric that was being followed, and I think that now that is kind of put to bed. And I do think that in the interior of Xbox, there is a narrative that a lot of people are kind of sitting there saying, like, this is our flagship title, this is our baby. We need to make sure that it looks the part, it plays the part, and it can be that kind of system mover that we need it to be. And that's why I think, honestly, if Halo Studios was founded earlier and they're where they're at in a headspace now was sooner, I think we probably would have had some more continuing storyline for Halo Infinite. But I think now the goal here is to craft multiple stories. If you read the books, you know a lot about the stories and the lore that they're looking into. Just looking at different directions to continue this franchise, this IP forward in a way that people will start to respect it again, because I think that the respect has kind of been put to the wayside.
Kind of diminished over the years, for sure.
Yeah,
People,
and let's not forget
it's the
people who
relevancy
mentioned
thing,
this.
right? Like
Yeah.
so many different first-person shooters that have come into fruition or come into prominence, should I say? That's kind of, I guess, diminished returns for Halo. Like, there's a lot of attention that's been shifted. Let me ask you.
A lot of people forget too, like Master Chief, like not because I want to sit here and say, because I'm a Halo fan myself, but if you put a couple images in a room with somebody who's not really savvy into gaming, you could put Super Mario, you could put Sonic the Hedgehog, Pac-Man, and you
Link
could put
with
Master
somebody.
Chief.
Yeah.
And Master Chief will sit in that room like with his head high.
Agreed. Yeah.
And that's something that we need to kind of look at and keep in mind, right? Like, I know every franchise, every IP has its moment in the shadow where people are like, oh my God, like, what is happening? I mean, The Last of Us Part 2, again, had that same con. A lot of people they gave up, they walked away. The fan base is not the same. It's completely divided. That happens with almost every single IP if it stands the test of time. And now we're seeing the same thing happen right now with Halo. But that doesn't mean for 1 second that Master Chief is going to just take his armor off and sit down and get old. Like, I think
it
I
shouldn't
can't get
happen.
into detail, but I know enough to tell you guys that Halo's in good hands, and we're going to see a lot of surprising things.
Well, brother, that sounds great to my ears. And I always hated that talk anyway. Oh, retired chief. I'm like, no. And I hate it because it's a gaming space. I get the idea of narratively wanting to move forward. I do get that. But I think that's what spinoffs are for, personally. I think Master Chief is a staple, just like Mario is, just like Link is. I know that the way they set Link up is different universes technically and whatever, but like a Final Fantasy, but still, he's a gaming mainstay. And they have...
You're not going to just throw that to the wayside. You're not going to just let that go. That's hard to make something like that. It doesn't... Like... That lightning in a bottle that usually doesn't strike twice.
Agreed.
And when you have that ability, like Microsoft and Xbox, they're not going to sit there and say, we got really, really lucky with how we created this story, this, and I want to be clear, this IP, not this franchise, this IP that they created.
Yeah.
Because that's another conversation that I've been hearing a lot of people talking about Sony and their IPs and their franchises.
Oh yeah, we had that discussion earlier. Funny enough, this
is Microsoft's IP. This is not something they're paying somebody else to use. They've crafted this from scratch, and they struck lightning in a bottle for years. And I don't think they're going to just let that go.
And they shouldn't. Yeah. Kay, did you have something you wanted to ask, or Hargeet, anybody?
No. I was gonna agree at all points and say it specifically to the point of Master Chief holding his head high in that room among those critical IPs. That's the reason why some of us were so disappointed. I'll be diplomatic about it. So disappointed when it seemed like it would be the equivalent of Nintendo saying, you know what, we'll let this Mario guy, we'll mothball him for a while. We were just mad. Like, how can you You know what I'm saying? Like how
Yep.
could you treat your IP in such a way when you stand toe to toe with the likes of Mario and the rest of them? You know, but going back to more positive stuff, it does seem like that was short lived, right? Since the last time we had seen that talked about, it just seemed like they were gonna continue the legacy of the multiplayer because that was successful, and then the rest would be kind of left by the wayside for a good amount of time, and I wasn't expecting it to happen so fast. So that's a positive. I'm happy that they're at least getting back on the horse in that way.
Yeah,
It's also important. It's also important to note, right? Like what Kay Asante was just saying. You know, all these IPs, Mario, Sonic, Gears of War, Marcus Phoenix, the Master Chief, you name them, Pac-Man, whatever. You can go on for days. It's the same. You know, they can take their time and walk away, and people can be like, hey, the last 3 Mario games were doo-doo, and I didn't enjoy them, and they weren't what I wanted. All it takes is those couple of individuals that get hired, new people that just get brought in, that know what that legacy character is about. All it takes is a few individuals to push the narrative of something that they want to see different with that lightning in a bottle idea, in this case being Master Chief. And it could just be the same thing over again, where we can have that little bit of a delay, but then the next thing we see from Halo just blows everybody out of the water because they're like, oh my God, like we didn't expect this. Like the last thing we saw was just a brute that wasn't fully loaded in yet, and we were making fun of him for 12 months straight. I think with the UE5 engine, with the ideas that they have put together, with concepts of multiplayer and battle royale and the lore, I think the next time people see Halo, I think they're gonna kind of eat their words.
Listen, I couldn't be happier to well, I don't talk bad about Halo, but I couldn't be happier for others to eat crow. So yeah, I'm all for it. but I was going to ask, with the Frank O'Connor situation, since you mentioned that, do you think it's added to, I guess, a stronger sense of, I guess, camaraderie and workspace environment and such like that, with him being away from now Halo Studios?
Well, there's a thing, right? So like in Redmond right now, I know in Washington as a whole, I think Hargeet touched on this a bunch of times. There's a concept right now at Microsoft. There's an 18-month turnaround on contractors. So it's usually how they kind of lean on when it comes to development and processes of development, especially during crunch and trying to get these games out. A lot of that narrative has been modified and changed as of recent because there's a lot of kickback on these contractors' ends and on developers' ends with this kind of idea and this premise of just bringing somebody in, having them work on an engine, and then or trying to get something out, and then they're out the door 18 months in, and they hardly, now you got to start from scratch again, train somebody up and get them used to the environment, get them used to the pipeline processes, all that kind of development processes. A lot of that has changed with managed service MSPs, and what that means is essentially that concept of going from untethered to tethered now has changed dramatically, and now you can have individuals that stay on board for the long haul, and I think that's being pushed even more now, where you can have those development processes and people be a part of those development processes and not have to be given the boot 18 months in or go offline or whatever the case may be, and then brought back on. That's all changing, and that's stuff that a lot of people aren't really too familiar with. That's more getting into the business aspect of it, but that helps out a lot when it comes to development, because like you have these 4-5 year development turnarounds, and you have people that have to kind of get offboarded, and then you have new people getting brought on, and they're like, what the hell's going on? What am I dealing with? What's the situation? Where are we at? Now with MSPs in the middle of all of that, you can have that person go for the long haul,
so
and not have to worry about it.
So to interject with that, so the next question I was going to ask the table, and I think that kind of goes into it. And actually, you kind of touched on the third question I had, and I definitely do want to get your thoughts on this because you more than hinted at it. But I'm going to start with Pixel, then I'll move to Hargeet, then to UK, because I'm going to kind of move one to the next in a shift.
Sure.
The switch to Unreal Engine. Now, you were just talking about the MSPs and getting people used to the environment, coffee, and stuff like that, and one of the things people were talking about, and I'm an Unreal Engine fanboy, by the way, Coffee. I just want you to know that. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry. So I am seeing them move to Unreal. I have been talking about that for years. Seeing Halo Studios move to that, that was like a dream come true for me. But the switch to Unreal Engine, would you say, Pixel, that you're pleased with it, displeased, and do you see any potential pitfalls for that? Now, Coffee, you kind of touched on something that I'm going to ask you all after this, but do you see any potential pitfalls with this, and are you happy with them moving to Unreal, Pixel?
No, I mean, I think it's a good move. I'm surprised, right, because of so much of the legacy of the current engine being on Blam, all that other stuff, right? And the way that Halo feels, when you play it, and the physics behind it, all that good stuff. For a long time, we thought that it's going to be hard to emulate that in Unreal. At least I thought it would be pretty hard to emulate it, right? And then more so, bringing things like Forge over, right, would be complicated. But
Right.
Playing with Forge on the newest version of Infinite, a lot of what Forge does is based around, at least visually, the way Unreal works, right, with its visual design language. So, seeing them say, you know what, we're just going to move over to the other engine, it makes sense. And then, specific, I want to say Cookie, but that is not your name, sir. It's
Coffee. Yeah.
I gotta hear it.
Yeah.
Coffee was saying about the contract of the 18-month rollover. I would hope that they would learn from that and move away from that going forward, right? At least for their mainline game. What you do with the spin-offs is your business, right? But having a core team of guys and girls who we make Halo games is a big deal, right? And I think the quality of the games have gone down because you're dealing with contractors, and I say that as a contractor, right?
Yeah.
So, there's there's different levels to contracting, right? And there's some people you can hire who can come in, see the lay of the land, and onboard themselves in 30 days and get to work, right? But most take months, right, before they can become real contributors to a team. So that costs time and it costs money. So I think a lot of the Unreal push really is just that it's the most used engine in gaming at this point, right? So if you're gonna stick to the idea of using contractors, you go with an engine that everybody already knows. That reduces your onboarding time, right? That way you're not learning. You're not just learning the culture and how we make games, but then you're also learning our engine, and now you're eliminating that whole process of having to learn the engine, right? And as well as it makes your vetting of employees a little easier, right? Because now it's like, oh, I don't just need somebody who knows the C++ or whatever, right? I need somebody who knows C# and works in this engine already, right?
Well,
Mm.
well,
That
you,
eliminates-
well, UE5. I mean, the reason why it's giving like multi-platform vibes from the get-go. I mean, again, we all have to kind of get used to that. Like multi-platform even for PlayStation, Xbox. This is the thing. This is going to happen. This is where these people are going to make the most money. But UE5 as a whole, I mean, just looking at it as far as from an engine standpoint, because I've worked with multiple engines, and from an engine standpoint, I mean, first of all, you have full access to source code, which is huge.
Right.
You also have a robust API system in play, and you also have a good blueprint for a scripting system, so you can optimize workflows. You have a support for setting up network multiplayer games, and just cross-platform utility is just top notch. So you're having kind of the perfect storm, because you're having individuals that are coming in that are going to be, let's just say, contractors in this case, that are going to come in and are going to start working with the engine that they've worked with and they're familiar with, and because it's such a versatile, easy engine to use, that time frame of training, of learning pipeline, of learning what the workflow looks like from a triage perspective, is diminished significantly. So you have faster turnaround times and development times for games. Instead of looking at a 5 to 6 year turnaround, you're probably looking at like a 3 to 4 year turnaround. And you also have that multi-platform availability where you're doing cross-platform development, and you're sharing all of your source code with.
There goes that
other
terrible word again.
Yeah, I think you may have some inside tea to spill on this, right? But we're holding off on the cross-platform talk until they actually say they're going cross-platform. Besides from the fact that it works well on PC and their current console hardware, We
I
know
mean,
that part, right?
yeah,
But
yeah,
we
yeah.
also know that these developers are trained in that, right? That the cross-platform thing, like I don't know, want to hedge that a little bit, specifically because we have some developers who are on UE. Now we know internally that transferring your games from on UE across other platforms is supposed to be a simpler process, but we've also seen some developers balk at it. Oh, we're too, it's too complicated to work on a Series S, right? And bullshit like that. So, but
Well,
you know,
you also have
I
to
think
keep in,
the
you also have
biggest
to
thing
keep in
is the
mind
pipeline.
those developers are also probably smaller developers that probably have the same group of individuals working on one engine for a long period of time, and those individuals don't want to switch over to a new engine. In this case, UE5, or even modify their work set or their systems that they have in place to work with their designated engine. Like, I mean, Retro Studios is a good example of that. I mean, there's Panic Button Games is a good example of that. I mean, you have multiple studios that I can think off the top of my head that will not go and preach about UE5 because they're just like, hey, we don't use contractors like that. We're a smaller size studio, and our studio has been working with us for a while. Our employees have been working with us for a while, and they're used to this engine. But when you have these bigger studios that are making these triple, or shall I say, quadruple A titles, yes, Ubisoft,
Don't
I'm talking
you
to you.
dare! Don't you dare!
You have to think of that concept of like, okay, what's going to be something that gives that source code, that gives that ease of use, that gives that cross development. Just it makes it a lot faster. And I know the multi-platform thing is a scary word to say, and I know a lot of people don't want it because my console and my games. I get it. But this is a business at the end of the day, and if you think for 1 second that Microsoft, who are known and have been known since the initiation of Microsoft as being a company to which says, hey, we don't want just you to go out and buy a MacBook. We want you to go out and buy an OS that is on everything that we own. We want everything that we have everywhere because they understand that that Netflix concept, or that concept of having an application on everything that you use, brings more revenue. And that is a very, very smart way to approach business, as opposed to saying, hey, I'm going to just sit here and hope to God that my $250 million budget game stays on my one console and hopefully it brings back some ROI for me. That's a scary concept for a lot of businesses, and they don't care about fans, and they don't listen to these podcasts. They don't care about what people are saying. They want money. They're shareholders. They want to see how
No,
much
I
money they
mean
can make.
Microsoft
And
has made it very clear they don't care about their console. I mean, we already know that. My point is, we're sidetracking the conversation, right?
but a
This is a Halo
console.
conversation. Let's talk about Halo, because this is I get it, right? We all get that part, but it's it's sidetracking the conversation.
So I'll come back to because I do want to get to these other questions and other guests for this because I do want to try to keep you all within 2 hours because I know you all have things to do. Hargeet, what's your thoughts with Unreal Engine in this move to that to the engine? Are you happy with that? You think any pitfalls maybe using it? I know a lot of people, people like Ray Monad think we won't get 60 frames per second at launch until 6 months later, stuff like that.
Well, no, I think the move to UE allows you to see a better graphic fidelity, right? And you've been a proponent of that, Umbra, right? Like, so it does have that shine. It looks stunning. It just does. So it's pretty cool that they did that. It's kind of too bad that they started this parallel thing with while they were trying to figure out slip space, right? I think that's the name of the Blam 2 or whatever. They were looking at could they do all the feel of Halo in UE, and that's cool, but they then consequently bought Bethesda, so they got id Tech, and they consequently bought ABK and got COD Engine, and you're like, well, wouldn't those actually be better? But unfortunately, they kind of went down the UE path already, and they kind of made it work. So I think it's good. Hopefully, like, the frame thing is not going to be an issue, but we will see, right? That is my main concern. Is yes, it'll look stunning, but as we found, UE5 games have had performance fun. So the stunning versus the frame rate thing is kind of just a thing, right? So Hopefully they have that kind of nailed. They're saying they're doing things that UE has not done before, and perhaps that is what they've been working on in the background with Epic, with Coalition, right, to see how they can push this.
Yep.
We haven't seen Coalition, by the way, for a while now.
We have not.
And they have been probably doing exactly that, perfecting it to the point where they can show you a game that's stunning that still gives you 60, right? And it's been what's in 2018. That's when they released. Is it the 2018, right? When they released Gears 5, something like that. 2018, 2019.
Something like that, yeah.
So it's been a while, and we don't think E-Day is going to come next year, right? Because they didn't say it's coming next year. So you're looking at 2026 or later. That's a long time for them, which means they are spending time trying to understand this engine and tweak the heck out of it to make it be performant yet stunning, right? The other thing with this is we don't know if these games from Halo Studios are coming on this gen.
I don't think
Or are they
I don't
gonna
think
go to-
they are. Yeah, I think it's
Are
next
they-
year.
yeah, right.
Yeah,
if they're gonna go
I
to
think we
next
kind of
gen.
know they ain't.
Yeah,
Right? Yeah. So if
See
you're
what it's
looking at
up to.
next gen,
yeah.
perhaps the hardware is caught up such that you do get the fidelity along with just like what Sony's been trying to promote with the Pro, right? That you get the fidelity with the frames. With a next gen, you should be able to do that, right? Because the CPU can bump up and the GPU can bump up. And you also have the separate dedicated NPU for hardware acceleration and other capabilities with AI, right? So that is a potential bump right there. Hopefully it does happen, right? So overall, I think it's cool. The main thing you get with that is the ability to scale beyond the studio on people to help you do it, right? To do the work. UE's much more open to the entire gaming world. There's a lot of developers out there that can use UE. That would have also been the case with COD Engine because COD, it's such a massive thing that a lot of people out there in the world have actually spent time helping make COD happen, right? So there's a lot of developers out there. Not to mention they have a lot of people in Activision, right? That are part of Microsoft now. That could always chip in to get the game out the door. And COD Engine is fan-freaking-tastic, right? It's pretty good. Is it UE level in graphics? I don't think so, but it also provides that 120 frames. So, you get something, you lose something.
But by the way, the COD engine is basically just the id engine, though, right? But modified.
It is.
Yeah.
They kind of forked it when they took it right from id. It is id. It's absolutely id. But then they've been adding their own capabilities on top of it, and id has kind of been doing its own thing. Both of them are fantastic, right? Both of them do really well.
Both of them are very good at getting 120 frames.
They are, and like you get Doom Eternal doing ray tracing with high frame rates, and you're like, okay, like this is what they can do, right? They really can push it, push the hardware with their engines, and COD has always been doing that. They've been trying to get you 60 the whole time. If you can do it now, it's 120 on the consoles, right? Obviously on PC you can do whatever you like, but I think it's fantastic if they could have used that, but those happened consequent to when they started looking at this. So it is what it is. They're on UE. You saw the visuals. It's stunning. It's great, right? So it hopefully will work out. I'm just minorly concerned about the frame rate thing. We'll see what they do with it. That has been my little concern. As to the the little hints of like, oh, this makes it easy to port. It does make it easy to port, but like there are many games on UE that Xbox has not put on other platforms. Gears, for instance, has always been UE, and I don't see Gears on the other side. State of Decay I think is UE, right? So and you could go on. There's plenty of other games. So it's not necessary. Would they do it? I don't know. I keep looking at the numbers and I keep saying, what is it on PlayStation that makes it attractive to even put it there? Like the big multiplayer game that they were supposed to make, the Star Wars IP Concord, failed miserably. Miserably. Okay, Sea of Thieves did so well. It sold 1 million copies. I'm like, yeah, but it had 40 million players.
True.
On the other side. How is that equivalent? So you have to look at the metrics and say, is it worth it? At some point, you have to also understand that there's a fan base, and fans require having something to be fanatical about. And if you're not going to do that, then, well, they're going to say, it doesn't matter. And that's kind of the thing. Halo is Xbox, and that's just the thing. Yeah. And if they decide that that's not the thing, then you kind of diminish the IP with it, right? So if you think that, say, Zelda is going to show up on PlayStation, okay, show me. Like, is that going to happen? Is Mario
Never.
suddenly going to be on Xbox? Is that going to happen?
Never.
Like, fair enough, right? Show me that happens and it works. But until then, I'm a little skeptical about this specific IP because it literally is Xbox. I am on Xbox because that game blew my mind when I put it in
Same.
my freaking Xbox.
100%.
So
Yep.
how do you then say, oh no, this is not Xbox? It's now just whatever. We just put it wherever.
Mhm.
Cool. You have now diminished Xbox. There's just no way around that, right? So I'll leave it to them. They're the ones who have all the freaking metrics and all that stuff. But I do think there's a feeling level that you have to understand and read the room of your fans to say, is this the right path? Will you actually? And it's not like Halo, even Infinite's made billions, billions.
Oh yeah.
So you can't say that, okay, it's not profitable. It's not profitable enough. Well, what is profitable enough? You own COD. Shut up and take your freaking printed money and just have fun. You own King. Literally, it sits there and prints money every minute. Like, come on. How much do you need?
Microsoft
This is
wants
kind of the
all their
problem.
70 billion back for a Activision.
Yeah, it's not even 70 billion. They want the return
That's
rate.
what they
right?
want.
They want it to be 20%, 30%. And you're like, dude,
They want it
it's
yesterday,
gaming.
yo.
Right.
Don't expect that.
They're like, it's our money and we want it now.
Yeah, right.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's a good point, right? Like, you have to understand, like, right now Xbox has a debt to Microsoft in the sense of $70 billion, and it's like
Well, I don't
Satya's
call
not
it
a
a debt.
gamer. Satya's
Yeah.
not a gamer. He's a moneymaker, and he's like, hey, this is the debt that's owed, and this is the debt that needs to be paid. He doesn't.
It's not
he
a
doesn't-
debt. It's a because they own an asset, right? As long as the asset is maintained as an asset that has value, it's fair enough. It doesn't matter.
You say it's an
It's
investment.
more the
huh?
asset should have a return. And look, I think ABK showed them that yeah, you can have returns. As much as we don't like Bobby Kotick, the asshole did actually produce. He had very high returns. That's the thing. Right, and they're like looking at that and saying, "Well, Xbox didn't return that rate. Why is it that he could do that? Why can't we do the same thing he does?" Like, well, wait a minute, hold on. You're a platform too, so this is the problem, right? And so they're looking for those higher return rates. I get it. I think the answer to that is go get bigger IP that generate money like that. That would let you keep doing that. That does not have to be Halo, but I think Halo on its own does make money. So they have to weigh that out, and that's a decision for the execs at Xbox and Microsoft.
Yeah.
But I don't think they should do that. I think that would be kind of a big slap in the face if you really put, I don't even know what IP you could look at from PlayStation because I don't think they have an IP that level. And I'm just being frank, and I just don't see anything over there like this. I see Mario and Zelda, and I'm like, yo, Mario or Pokemon. You say, okay, well, we're gonna put that somewhere else. They're freaking suing Pal World because it kind of half copies Pokemon. They're like, no, we're not gonna let you do that shit because that's our thing, right? You don't. Is Pokemon something that should be everywhere? Why not? It's a freaking kids game. It should be. Hell no, it's on Nintendo.
Yeah,
That's
well,
where you're gonna play it.
Yeah, that
you're,
competition only goes
you're-
for the Xbox, bro.
you're comparing soup to nuts right now. Like, you have to understand that
Is
Nintendo, they have the biggest fan base, period. I mean, they have the most consoles out there with the Switch. They have the most, like, their IPs sell like at full price all the time, no matter when they're released, forever. Like, they know that they can do whatever they want to do, and that they don't have to put their games on other platforms. They don't have to do any of that because they're Nintendo, and they're the guy in the room that sits in the corner and laughs at everybody else and how hard they're trying. But when it comes to Halo, I mean, I know it's like, hey, and I agree with you guys, it is Xbox, but it's at the same time it's Xbox Studios, and it's like, you can argue all day about the fan base and what they want and how they want it, and like they want something to be proud of with a console, but also the way technology is going and what the future looks like is not you sitting in house with a big block and saying, this is my console, this is what's going to run my games. The future is you streaming everything to just your TV set, and that's it. That's all. And consoles cost money to make, to produce, to fabricate. They cost. That's all they cost, and they're usually being sold at a loss. So if you can cut that out and just say, hey, I'm either going to have like a Fire Stick type situation where I have Game Pass on there, and people would just stream and use xCloud, and it'll get better and better and better and better. We're still not there yet, but inevitably will be, where you don't need that expensive console in the room, and you can just use AI and technologies and stream everything and make everything look great on your TV set, which most people will probably try and prefer anyway, because not everybody's us. Not everybody talks about these things or does podcasts about it or worries about numbers and financial situations and what have you. A lot of people are just like, give me a game and let me play it now on my TV set or on my phone or on my iPad. And that's what the future is. And Microsoft knows that. They know that Sony inevitably will not be able to continue with these $500 to $300 million budget games and then think that they're going to just be able to do that and keep making consoles and keep dumping it because they don't have that kind of ability, money from a money standpoint. Microsoft does, and they want to make more of it, and this is why they make money, and this is why they are a monopoly in the industry, and this is why they have so much freaking money, because they know what they're doing when it comes to making money. That's one thing that I can say to everybody who's going to watch these podcasts, because I've heard multiple podcasts talking about the same thing and doom and gloom, and like I fucking laugh at people that I hear on podcasts, whether it be, I'm not going to name anybody, but they're like, Microsoft, oh my God, they got to be careful. It's going to be the end of times for Microsoft. Are you kidding me? Do any of you have any idea? I'm sure you guys can probably fathom, but you know how much fucking money Microsoft has? Like,
a lot.
Like, if they want to be in this field and play this game, they will be in, even at a loss, as long as they want to be in for. There's nothing that anybody, whether Sony sits there.
Yeah, they're going to change the game, right? It's not going to be about like. So look, my assumption is they're going to look at the landscape the same way we at least I would, and say, what are those top 10, 15 games that everybody plays and everything? I want half of that, and so that's why they have ABK. And then they can go buy something else that, like, you could look at Epic, you could look at Take-Two and say, I want that, because Take-Two is like the other half. And you're just like, I don't care where it is, it'll be everywhere, but I'm just printing my money. That's
if they get Take-Two, then it's game over.
Oh, it's a wrap.
Right?
But that would never happen,
right.
though.
No, because
Khan would not allow that.
Well, she's on her way
Khan
out.
is done.
Possibly, but
Khan is done.
You think so?
So
That's what they're saying.
well,
They're
so her term
speculating.
is already up,
Yeah.
and like both sides are not going to renew her, and like the Senate has already said we're not going to confirm her again.
Oh,
So that's not.
I saw AOC arguing to fight tooth and nail for us.
Yeah, it's time for her to sit down too.
There's
Then it is what it is.
the three people who like her, and then there's everybody else,
Damn.
and that's both Democrats and Republicans, right? So they're like, it's not happening. So she's not getting another term. So the like replacement, we'll see what they do. But either way,
Microsoft
there
will
is
find a
always
way.
possibility.
Look at their
there's
advertising
always
for
a
Call of
possibility.
Duty. Everybody's like, they can't. Oh, they made this deal. They can't advertise it. Do you fucking see the advertisements for Call of Duty?
That was a big talking point
so-
for a while back.
There's always a loophole. There's
Yeah.
always a loophole.
Right.
We'll
Well,
figure
the-
it out.
the
They
two
will
that-
figure it out.
The two they need to kind of do, and to what you were saying, Kavi, like, so they need to get Valve. Unfortunately, like, people would say that's not. It's possible. So they get
Yeah, that's
Valve,
kind of
they
the
hold
end game,
Steam.
right?
Yeah, they get
They
Steam,
did.
and then it's done. Because at that point, you have all the games, and so
Yeah.
essentially, you just say like, my console, what is just Windows, my like whatever, it's all the same. I'd get rid of the whole separation thing, and that is kind of where they're heading. So it's going to be, it's either direct stream. That's a possibility, though. I think devices will just get powerful enough; it won't matter. And then you can directly go to TV, which is Android. You could go to a mobile, which is Android or iOS, or you could go to a PC or a hybrid PC device, basically like the Lenovo Go or the Asus ROG Allies, things like that, right? And so you have a whole bunch of options, and so you have landed machines that'll be, console-like if you really want one. It'll just be running the Steam, library on a Windows like Xbox, which is already Windows, right? So that's kind of where it's gonna go. You're kind of right in that. Once that happens, then it truly does not matter to Xbox where they put their games. Why? They have all the games, because even PlayStation is going to give them their games.
All
It's
your
just the way it
games
is.
belong to me.
So exactly. So then it just becomes an open market, and then you can choose whatever the hell you want, which is ultimately the right thing anyway, because then the hardware becomes whatever you like, right? And then you just play your games, right?
Hargeet
And
is a
so-
mastermind behind it. See, don't get him involved in Xbox. He's gonna take over the world. But before I do want to get to Kay for this though. Before I move to the next part, coffee. So Kay, what's your thoughts on the whole Unreal thing and any part of the discussion that you heard from these gentlemen already? What did you want to add to that and your thoughts and And since it was introduced, Coffee was talking about the whole multi-platform thing. The third question I was going to ask you guys, and so you can throw this in there however you feel like it, was with the Unreal Engine, because one of the pitfalls that many people are pointing to is that it possibly would lead to multi-platform, right? AKA on the PlayStation. So what's your whole thoughts about the Unreal Engine usage and I guess the potential of it going multi-plat?
Okay, so the plus first. Okay, for me, as a Halo fan, and I am a huge Halo fan. Like I have said many a times, those who've heard me, I have said many a times that I have most likely played the Master Chief Collection as much as some have played the campaign, which is days and weeks and months, and it's taken that there's a cross playlist of every single story called the Master Chief Saga. I think I've finished that thing like maybe 30 times. I'm a huge, specifically campaign Halo fan. So as a Halo fan in that way, I would be super excited. I should say, super excited that they are actually doing it this way, because that tells me that one day soon, maybe for once, they'll finish the goddamn fight. They talk about it a lot. They haven't actually done it. So they'll maybe finish one and it'll be fantastic. I will love that. As Hargeet has already pointed out, Unreal always produces beautiful images. They've already proven themselves in that space, in that they can do a lot with a little, even from a team perspective. A lot has been done in that space that really shows that, hey, this thing can do a lot. Empower smaller developers to do quite a lot, with automation and the like. And clearly, when you have a bigger studios like that can really take that scale and make something fantastic with it in a shorter amount of time. So all that is positive for me. So as a Halo fan, I think it's great. I think it's wonderful that they did that. If I have one caveat, and you knew this was coming because Umbra, you and I have had these conversations, folks, and I will give you my thoughts on what I think about multi-plat versus single player and all, multi-plat versus first party and all that in a bit. But I have been given, people give me smoke on my views sometimes when it comes to those kind of things. But where I do really enjoy the competition, if you will, quote unquote competition, is in engines, because it pushes each other to do super interesting things, and it allows for different visions to be easier to achieve because different engines do different things. I remember the heyday of well, I was gonna say id Tech, but id Tech has not lost its heyday. It's still, as you guys have pointed out, one of the best things out there, right? In the current gen, I use the Series S as my barometer, because the X and the PS5 base are basically the same system, with a bit of overclocking here and there and smart shift in the other instance, right? So I always use the Series S as my barometer, because it is the device that has to benefit from all the optimizations rather than brute forcing, because it's not really a brute force device, right? So if you can make that device, if you can make your game shine on the Series S, then you got something, because everything else is cake. The other devices can handle the brute force to where it's necessary. And like you guys were saying, Call of Duty, is like more often than not 120 frames on the S. Like, it's happened, right? It's amazing what that thing can do. Not to mention the id Tech engine. I always have to reference what do you call it? A CryEngine whenever I have these engine discussions. Engines that are maybe bespoke by many sentiment, but you see their value, right? And nothing to be taken away from Unreal, because Unreal has proven itself to be that dynamic engine that the industry needed, right? And every time, I'll even push back on what Hargeet was saying in regards to the current issues that it's having as far as games not running so right on console with Unreal. Yes, that was the beginning problem, but you can tell they're working right now with the aforementioned Microsoft, and more of the tool sets being more aligned to console hardware. So later iterations of Unreal that are both in the background that I luckily enough to have a chance to see, as well as some that you'll see coming out soon, will show you different visions of that Unreal, right? What we're basing our theory on right now is historical evidence, which frankly haven't been great, but they've also been doing a lot of optimizing that's yet to be shown off.
Asante, can I cut in here? I'll let you finish.
Please,
this.
absolutely, absolutely, yeah.
I just want to say another thing that people are forgetting about is when
Mhm.
it comes to Unreal Engine 5 and id Tech. So there's a big thing, there's a big elephant in the room, and that is the fact that id Tech, yes, it's a great engine, it's phenomenal when it comes to frames and it comes to all of that and what they're going to get out of it. But the reality is that Coalition Studio works very, very closely with 343 and now what is
Yes.
Halo Studios, and also Coalition Studios. As a whole, they've crafted a lot of really, really great profiling tools for Unreal Engine to be able to monitor Unreal Engine as a whole through time. Because I mean, if you look at Gears, Gears runs phenomenal, and it looks phenomenal, and that is because the Coalition Studios knows what they're doing with Unreal Engine, and they have those profiling tools. I don't know if you guys are familiar with what
You
that
have
is.
that
Essentially-
streaming glitch, right?
Yeah, it's just an analysis to get individual aspect of frames and see how they're running. So we have Coalition Studios that has these profiling tools in play that they can use and they can give, and because I've seen it firsthand, like cross development between other studios and helping out and lifting the load together as Microsoft's game studios as a whole. And that is where that decision was made, is because you have a UE5 engine that Coalition Studios just knows like the back of their hand. They have fucking rocket scientists there working on this thing. And then you have Halo, and if you put those two together, then you just have like a fucking bomb.
So I agree with you. I do. But my only caveat is I like that world where many different engines can continue to vie for power. And while I think as a Halo fan, this is a great move, as a person who still wants that competition in interesting content that different engines can provide, I feel like Microsoft is unique in that they're feeding the beast rather than preparing countermeasures for said beast. They are unique in that they have their competitive engine, whether that be id Tech or the others. The great thing about Unreal is early on they realized that this tool could become dynamic enough that it fulfills many needs, right? So I was actually speaking on this a couple days ago. This is why when they showed you the Unreal Engine 5 demo, they specifically chose the Matrix demo because the number one criticism of Unreal Engine 4 was the fact that it couldn't do open world well, right? So what did they do? The first thing they show you, yes, it was very framey and it's been tweaked and optimized since then. But the first thing they showed you was, hey, look at a hustling, bustling city, and it's all running here at like 27 frames per second, right? on the particular
Or
device.
less.
But still, we
You're
we
being
can do it.
generous.
I'm being generous. Yeah. But still, it can be done, right?
Bring that
So-
number down a little bit, buddy.
Yeah, I know. But
It's
needless to say, the reason why that engine still thrives and the reason why that engine is still such a viable option is because the purveyors and the creators of that engine have made it their mission to traverse all the various divides that are brought up by other developers. They're literally feeding the beast to make him stronger, right? And it's working. I say, yes, I understand specifically that id Tech is not for every kind of game, right? You put it in an open world setting and it'll fall apart, it'll buckle. I understand that because it's not as dynamic, but neither was early versions of Unreal until the geniuses there decided, you know what, we're gonna make this the reference design for all gaming, right? I'm not saying that that's where Microsoft needs to go. I am just saying that in a world where every time Microsoft or anybody else at that level tries to go buy something, they're looked at with a, hey, let's look 10, 15 years from out from this. What will this purchase that we're allowing you to make do to the industry? In that world, Microsoft should be thinking of basically foregoing their own engines and feeding the beast that becomes Unreal Engine 7 or 10 versus their own potential offerings that they could be preparing to compete down that line.
So it sounds like
You
you're
know
saying
what I'm saying?
Microsoft needs to invest into Epic like Sony did, right? Put a little money over there.
I'm saying
No.
I'm saying
I'm messing.
Invest in
they
their
need to
own
invest.
engine.
I'm messing.
In their own engine.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm
I
being
want
foolish.
them. I want them to add. I want them to add IdTech or another engine into PlayFab, for example, and let that be the engine that they start turning into that dynamic
get you.
engine that eventually could maybe.
I mean, they have
be
quite a few
competitive.
though, okay, right? So they still have some Blizzard engines. They still have COD. They still have
Yes.
Playgrounds.
But they're all
and
bespoke that
Forza,
don't
Forza
compete
Tech.
with Unreal because
get you.
they have not been commercialized.
And you've made this case
You know what I
before,
mean?
Kay. I remember this, and because you gave me pushback when I was continuously my fanboying for Unreal. You were like, "Well, I want to get."
Unreal is
I remember
Unreal is
that.
Unreal because it's been pushed by many other developers. Unreal is Unreal because of PUBG. Unreal is Unreal because of many of these others who contributed to making the big beast that it is today.
Right.
So what you're
If you don't
suggesting is that
commercialize
maybe
an
they should
engine,
commercialize it. Okay, I got
they
you.
should commercialize one of their engines because they are
I get
very
you.
much a development house as well, right?
Yeah.
They offer a lot of great development services
So
for
which
others
one do you
to
think
use.
they should push? IdTech, COD engine?
I
something
would
like
say
that?
get and
IdTech,
obviously
for
it won't
sure.
compete. It won't compete today with the biggest engines on the block, that being Unreal. But Unreal has the IdTech has the bones to potentially get that dynamic
see
if
that.
you work at it, right? It took many iterations to get to five and where we are now and how amazing it looks, right? If there's a company that's uniquely qualified from a financial standpoint and even owning engines today standpoint, it is Microsoft. To
So-
okay, me as the Halo fan, give me Unreal Engine 5 Halo, but also start preparing for that future when you want to compete against Unreal instead of
So what I-
continuing to feed that beast.
I think what
That's
they
all I'm
should,
saying.
I mean, potentially do is take COD engine, IdTech, and merge them back together, and then say there's the team that owns the engine between those two, right? And then you can commercialize it. Because look, COD engine is pretty large because there are a lot of people out there who have to help Activision put Call of Duty out there.
Yeah.
So, and there's a lot of just Activision people, right? So there's a huge amount of people who already
And to
have
be
that
clear,
talent,
though,
so-
real quick, Hargeet, to be clear, to also add to my point real quickly, the reason why I say that this is possible is because like Unreal has influenced other engines in a major way. Blam has a lot of UE kind of elements to it as well, right? Most of these engines in their modern iteration, because Unreal looms so large, have had to, at least from a UI UX perspective, kind of adopt the same kind of visual language. So it's not to say that
Right.
you're bringing people from Greek to English, you know what I mean? Like there is some translating there, obviously, but you as in Microsoft, can create a viable option, and you have PlayFab, you have all this cloud initiative where any dev can just jump in and have all these physics engines and everything else at their disposal, IDEs and all that ready to go. Add in your own engine, start doing what Unreal did, which is incorporating all of the learnings from various games into your own beast that you feed. And this will
Yeah.
pay dividends in 2030. That's all I'm saying.
I see. So let me ask this really quick to Coffee and Danny. I want to go to you and you ask your question. Well, you can answer this and then ask your question rather, and I think we can kind of wrap it up because we're close to that time. Coffee, what you say for the Unreal Engine part? Just really quick as you can kind of give us this information. Now, shout out to my brother One Bad Mother who gave me this info. I told him I would mention it. It was mentioned that Pierre and others were against originally using Unreal Engine because of Unreal Engine 4 due to its technical limitations of lacking partitioning, and that now Unreal Engine 5 has solved that problem largely, which would allow for open world design and stuff like that, which was like a issue to Unreal because of, it would cause issues for it, I guess, to do open worlds and stuff like that. Do you think that's been solved, and how well do you think, I guess, the next Halos will be going open world?
So I think that it's important to understand that Blam is essentially the slip space engine. I mean, and that's something that they're trying to stray away from because of the headache to which is comprised of developing for that engine. I agree with Asante in the sense of developing something that you can use to in the future or whatever the case may be to get more ROI from. But at the moment in time, what they have at their disposal besides using things that they've already purchased, like IdTech and again, what they have at their disposal is something that they need to kind of focus on right now before they look at something like trying to be able to reiterate off a slip space engine or whatever the case may be. But as far as Unreal Engine is concerned, I think what you're saying is I mean, it's purely just rumors and people just making like shit up. I mean, at the end of the day, I can say that the Unreal Engine has been something that Microsoft has been, definitely looking at for quite some time. That they want to use for Halo, and it's been something that a lot of people have been championing, just because, not because of the frame rate situation. I don't think a lot of people are worried about that, just because they see working hand in hand with Coalition Studios. It's not really a big concern for them. I think that from a visual aesthetic perspective, there's no other engine right now on the market that is gonna output the beauty that Unreal Engine 5 can do. And I think that if anything, them leaning on that engine and making that their decision should be just a prime example to the fans as to how serious they are of making the next Halo a console seller, and something that when you see it, you're like, wow. Like, you're not like making memes about Greg the Brute, but you're like, wow, this is how's this even possible? And that's their main thing, is like that beauty that Halo is clearly capable of outputting. I think that they want people to feel, once again, how they felt when they first were dropped in that biome of Halo CE. And I don't know about you guys, but when I saw what they output for their biomes that they were putting together, the flood biome, the snow biome, when I saw all that,
Looked crazy.
I felt like I was seeing Halo CE again, but when I was younger, like how I
Your
felt in that
imagination.
world.
Yeah,
Like,
this
I was
this
like,
this is
holy
the part
God.
where you just pause for 1 second. Umbra, say the line.
Exactly. Yeah.
Umbra, say the line.
Pause. You say pause for 1 second and what now? Hold on.
I said, pause for 1 second. Umbra, say the line.
What's the line?
Line?
When you first stepped.
Oh,
when you
I got
first
it.
stood
I
on
got it.
Halo.
Were you
Oh, yeah,
blinded
there you
by
go.
its
That's it.
majesty? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, and I got that same feeling again when I saw that. I think that's very important to have that thing of like you escape to another world, and that world is so real. And now, if you look back at Halo Combat Evolved, like, yeah, I mean, it's dated, but when I was younger and I first, loaded that game up and played it for the first time and walked over that bridge, in the first level, I was just blown away. I was like, how's it possible that a console's doing this? And I think they want to do that again. I think they want to show that off more than anything else. They want to show off like how beautiful Halo can look and be, and how it can be a system seller, and how you can go to somebody and say, yeah. And not to make this response too long-winded, but it's important to also note this. A lot of people have been looking at Hellblade 2 from a length perspective. I can tell you right now, it's not a 5-hour game, but from a length perspective, what it means to the industry. Yes, it didn't sell gangbusters. Yes, we can argue that all day. But Hellblade 2 was used as kind of a, how can I put this?
A test bed, if you will.
Kind of like a an advertisement for what the Series X is capable of with the Unreal Engine. What we're gonna see. And I think that's the main purpose of it at this moment in time. So like, just picture something like that, but with Halo, and then you have an idea of what to expect with Xbox. And I think that's great to have that. But as far as kind of circling back, going against and being against uses of an engine, like Unreal Engine 5, no, I don't think that. I think those are just clearly just rumors.
Just rumors.
Things being. Yeah,
Okay.
people just saying stuff because that's the fun thing to do, is just go around and say, yeah, did you know Xbox is failing? Why is it failing? I don't know, because it's just failing, dude. You didn't know?
Okay. Just as a brother of mine I know say just say shitism, as they would say, just saying shit. But yeah. Well, I'm hopeful that I think I like the open world aspect of Halo Infinite personally. I would like for that to return. I would like the whole
Same.
grapple shot. I loved it. I thought that was a good part. They just have to have the biomes. The biomes have to be there. And what we're
You
seeing
don't like
here.
running around Redmond, Washington for 12 hours?
Hey, look, just a little bit. I don't mind it for some of it. I want to have a little diversity though when
That's
it comes to
basically
that.
what it was.
Yeah, that's all. But Danny, to you on this, and I'll let you give the last question to the panel, and we'll get out of here, guys.
Sure. I do think that I have lost track of what the original question was.
Yeah, definitely. So
we got off track a little bit.
we did.
Yeah.
We did. The original question was about Unreal Engine and are you happy that it's going to that? But you can change it to whatever direction you want to
No,
and
that's
answer
fine.
yours.
I mean, here's the thing. The only negative I can really think about like going to Unreal is maybe there's like a sort of over reliance on Unreal just in the industry as a whole. And so that could potentially be a bad thing, but realistically, I think it's probably the best move that formerly 343 could have made at this point. I mean, for a multitude of reasons, really. It's this idea of like people are going to be able, because they're hiring up a ton of people. Obviously, they lost a ton of people for again a multitude of reasons.
Yeah.
But they're hiring up, and they won't have to spend however many months training all these new people. Like, so this is slip space, and this is how it works, and yada yada. Like, a lot of these people are going to come in probably from other studios, because God knows there's been enough layoffs, enough people looking for work, that they're going to be able to come in with probably a vast knowledge of or an experience base in Unreal Engine. It's the industry standard. Like, everyone knows, everyone I would say who works in the games industry probably has some level of like experience with Unreal. Maybe not like has made a full game in it, but like has touched it, you know? Because even when I was in school just learning game programming, like that was the thing we were learning in. Like, we learned in that, and then at like Unity. And that was pretty much it. And Unity semi recently
Those are the top two. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's going to be this really, it's a really great idea, because it's going to let them basically get to work immediately. And then on top of that, a lot of these people are going to have solutions to problems that Halo Studios hasn't run into yet. Something's going to go wrong inevitably, because it's game program. Like, things go wrong constantly. And somebody who has worked at a different studio might already know like a solution of how to solve that problem just from experience of having worked on it. That's something you would never get with Slipspace or with most proprietary engines. So this is really going to speed up not just their like introduction to the team and their ability to get on track immediately, but it's also going to probably speed up their ability to get product out the door fast and be adaptable and do things that the fan base wants them to do. That was one of the things that I think they sort of took blows for early on with Halo Infinite, is they launched feature incomplete, and then it was like these seasons are too far apart and all this stuff. And when you're working in Unreal, it's a relatively easy platform to work in. I mean, obviously nothing about game design is easy, but like these people again already have all this experience, and it is a pretty straightforward system. So these people are going to be able to test and get these things out the door a lot faster. So I think it's a really good idea. I genuinely think that this is the situation where they probably, like everyone said, they probably don't necessarily want to be licensing an engine for their flagship franchise. I'm sure they would love to have a proprietary thing that works, but this takes so much of that work off their plate where they don't have to, I mean, they said it in their own video, where they don't have to like be a engineering company and like figure out all these problems themselves. And it's going to allow them to immediately start sort of correcting the perception of Halo. It's phenomenal. It's genuinely probably the best move they could have made. I don't think that there's another engine that would have done as much as quickly as Unreal is going to be able to do for them.
I'm with you there.
So,
I would
love
what
to
you
make
say?
fun of Unreal.
Hey.
I know that you love it so much. I
Hey,
would love
now.
to make fun of it. So actually, it's terrible, and I hate it.
What would you say about the aspect of Forge? Like, one of my thoughts of it was like, man, Forge is so tough now. Like, it's so intensive and like so much stuff you can do with it. We've seen with the Forge makers. How do you think Unreal would work using Forge? And do you think
I
it'll
can't
probably
imagine
have
why
it
it would
launch?
be any worse, is the thing.
Yeah.
Like, they're going to have to remake it basically because it's in a new engine.
Mhm.
But there's an aspect of it where you could probably just put the creator tools for Unreal Engine out there as
So-
Forge, and it would probably
so-
work.
They already
'cause
have
Not,
that.
Unreal
not to
Engine is
interject,
pretty
not to
easy.
interject too much, real quick.
Fortnite.
All
they
you got to
have
do
that,
to answer your Forge question is look at Fortnite. The Fortnite
Yeah.
editor is
Mm.
basically Forge.
That's fair. Yeah.
There you go.
Is
Okay.
it's
And
I
I'm
really
sure
I
they're
don't
working
necessarily
with
think that
Epic
that's going to
on
be a
that
problem.
specific thing, right? Because they've been talking
yeah.
to them quite a bit in the background.
Yeah.
Well, what's his
I'm sure
dick?
they're like, how do we copy paste this?
that Sweeney, was it Sweeney who said something? Like he immediately came out and was like, "We're really happy to partner with Halo."
sure
So like,
did.
yeah, they're working very closely
did.
with Epic
Yeah.
about this to some
Sure
extent.
did.
So
On the
I'm sure if they have any
that
questions,
could
they'll
only
be
play
able
on
to-
PlayStation 5.
Daniel, don't act
Right.
like you don't know Sweeney's name. Don't act like Unreal doesn't send
I
Umbra
was
checks
just-
every 5 minutes. What are you talking about?
Look, I don't see those checks. I simply, don't ask, don't tell. You know what I mean?
There you
The-
go. We like the military up in here.
No, it wasn't that it wasn't that I forgot his
Damn.
name. It's that I got confused between Tim Sweeney and Donald Mustard, and I was like, "Who's the Epic guy and who's
Oh
the
yes,
Fortnite
yeah,
guy?"
yeah, yeah.
And that's
Yeah,
why I
that's
slipped
true.
the
That's true.
fucking line.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think this is really great. I think the thing that probably has me the most excited though about this whole announcement is that I think it basically because of the Unreal Engine thing and also because of it being, largely a new team and they're trying to figure out sort of the direction they want to go. I think that we might see some like really interesting ideas and projects come out of this. Like I would be genuinely shocked because it said obviously they're working on multiple projects in their blog post or whatever it was. I'd be genuinely shocked if the thing that they're working on is like, we're just doing Halo Infinite 2. That's it. That's the only thing, right? Like we know for a fact that they're working on multiple projects. So
Right.
it's like,
Mm-hmm.
it seems like pretty much a done deal that one of them is going to be a Halo CE remake to some extent. I think.
So are you telling me that they finally got my letters? I'm getting another ODST. Tell me that's what I'm getting, Dan. Please.
I mean,
Dan,
look, I
come
would
on.
happily take. Honestly, I think the best thing that you could do, and I say this in my video, so I'm kind of spoiling it for everybody. But hey, go watch it after this because I need the support.
There you go.
But I think for me personally, I think the best thing that they could do is obviously you have to continue like the story of Master John 11 Chiefson and
Chiefson.
whatever Master Chiefson and whatever you do there. I don't necessarily think it needs to be Halo Infinite 2. I don't necessarily think it needs to be a continuation of the story. If they want to start a new chapter and reboot the whole bitch, I'm fine with that. I really don't care. I think, but I do
Let me
think
be clear real quick. I made a facetious comment to that.
Yeah.
I don't care either. I just
Yeah,
need
sure.
them to finish one of their fights, like
Yeah.
at some point.
Can't have Atriox beat my ass
Yeah.
and get away with it now.
That cannot leave my man H-Rock.
Yeah.
But
You know what I'm saying?
Look,
like one of
honestly,
their fights
Alright.
needs to be finished at some
Story
point.
there.
there
Good story there.
I wouldn't really
Please
care
finish
either
it.
way. I do think me personally, I would prefer for them to basically reboot it and tell the story in a better, more succinct way. And maybe you do start hinting at like the Banished and Atriox earlier on and do things like that. Because I think there's a lot of the story of Halo that was perfectly fine in 2001, 2004, whatever, when those games were coming out. But I think a lot of people in the modern audience going and replaying at this point would be like, so I just walk down this hallway and shoot these guys? All right. I mean, like, sure. You know what I mean? Like, I think there's an aspect of it where you could probably humanize a lot of these characters. And then, like, in Halo CE, Johnson is basically just like a caricature. Like, he's not even, I don't even know if he's named in CE, you know?
Yeah.
So there's definitely some improvements that could be made there that I hope in the event that they're doing a Halo CE remake that they take the opportunity to do that. Maybe give Johnson some, like, actual lines that aren't like, shit and goddamn, like that something. You know, that'd be great. 'Cause
For a brick, he
was-
flew pretty good.
I'm telling you, honestly, like it was Halo CE Johnson was a little rough around the edges. Could use some characterization. So me personally, I would just like go towards the direction of doing a reboot, but regardless, one of the projects needs to be Master Chief. Like I think whatever you do, it has to be that. But what I really want to see is a spin-off that goes in just a completely different direction. Maybe not
Yeah.
necessarily like a different genre. It can be like a third-person shooter. I don't care. Maybe it's like a Halo Wars type situations in RTS.
Yeah,
But,
like
like, something
would really be
very
good as like a third.
different.
Yeah, it would really be good as
Where-
like a third person. Third person with a cover mechanic. Wink.
I would love
Ah.
that, and especially if you're
Oh,
like,
I didn't think about
even
that.
if you're like
Cover
not
mechanic.
playing as a Spartan. Like I think it'd be fun if you were
Years
just
of
playing-
Halo.
If you were playing as Johnson,
yeah,
or if
yeah.
you were playing as just like a Marine, or like do an ODST 2 to Asante's point. I think that it's one of the things that they talk about so often in like their earnings calls and things, is that they aren't just trying to make games anymore. Is that like they see this path forward being that we want to build franchises that can be more than video games, that they can spread out and be.
All right,
you know,
Daniel, you
multiple
got
types of
me.
games
You
and
got
different
me.
kinds of-
You,
oh,
you
no.
caught me red-handed, dude.
I
Like
got
the
'em.
next game is a workout simulator where John 117 is trying to work out and lose that extra fat that he's gained because obviously everybody's talking about how fat he is
He
in
is
the
getting
new
chunky.
in the new Combat Evolved images that we've seen. So that's
He's
that's
getting
it.
real
We
fat.
know it. We know it. Everybody, Master
So,
Cheeks.
look,
He's
Your
gonna.
man's
I
got
want them to
cheeks.
go-
Real fat buddy.
Well done.
I want them to go really bold and like totally go in a different angle, right? So like think about say the Forerunners. Could you do something in the Forerunner timeline? Think
Sure.
about the Covenant forming.
Oh, the
Like,
Didact
could you
was
do
awesome.
something with that? Right?
Do
Yeah,
a-
exactly. Like go in a totally different direction.
Yeah,
Why
you
I
can do
say
something
that is
in the Didact's actual era. Absolutely.
exactly right, and why I say that is how do you bring like how do you keep something relevant generation to generation? Like Mario stays relevant because it's the same bloody story over and over again, right?
Yeah.
Zelda's the same freaking thing, right? How do you
Something that
make it
each wants to
relevant?
be caught.
You bring in a whole new story that people can latch onto. It's like, oh, you know, there was this other stuff that they did before. Maybe now I can go check
Yeah.
that out. But you bring in something nobody's experienced.
Other
right?
bits
And
of
you're like,
lore.
oh,
Yeah.
cool.
Hargeet, did you read the
Right?
books? Did you read the Halo the novels?
I did not, right? But
I did.
I did.
I read a
Oh
bunch of
my
them.
god!
And if you
Yeah,
if
they
you
are
played
amazing.
I
Halo
found out how the
4,
Didact died.
yeah, if you played Halo 4 and you didn't read the novels, you did not enjoy
Oh,
Halo 4.
You missed out a
You
lot.
didn't,
God.
you didn't experience Halo 4 the way you should have. Sadly.
So much lore, dude.
Yeah.
It's
Even
a lot.
even the Gears of War novels, dude.
Oh, yeah,
Like,
the Gears.
yeah,
oh
yeah.
my
I'm reading
God.
those as well. Yep.
So
and I think
Uh,
this is
so
why
good.
E-Day was such an awesome freaking thing to do.
Mm.
Oh, it's gonna
Let's
be really
take this
good,
to a
yeah.
different direction and like bring more people in. So I hope they do something bold like that. I don't want just simply, hey, we had ODST, let's do ODST too. Like, no, I want let's go crazy, go to a different timeline and like totally tell a different part of the story. I think
For
that's what
sure.
Halo Wars to me was so awesome with was like this was way before and you're doing like all this discovery stuff and you're like this is freaking awesome as a story, right? And Halo
Absolutely.
Wars 2 introduced us to Atriox and you're like, okay, so let's talk about the Banished. How
We
did this
are
whole
the
thing happen?
Banished.
Right? Like that would be cool to know too, right? And so instead of just always being on the ODST Spartan side, let's go to the other side and let's see what happened there. Like this,
It's a lot of room for that. But I want to
Yeah.
let
Yeah.
Danny finish his thoughts. And that last question I was going to ask you guys, because I know Pixel, we were talking about it before, way like a day or two ago, about what would be the game you all would want. Since they're working on multiple projects, what would be that game that you would want? We can do that in the outros. How about that? You guys
Yeah,
can
I
pitch
mean-
it
Yeah,
a quick
yeah.
pitch for it as we get out of here. How about that?
I mean, that is basically my question at the end of this is like, we know that they're working on all these different projects, and I think that there's a lot of very interesting possibilities of where they could go forward. And I'd be really curious to hear what you guys think. That I guess we already heard it a little bit from Hargeet, but like maybe you've got more about that. But I'd be really curious to hear what you guys think, like an interesting possible direction they could go with these. Let's say there's 3 games. If there's 3 games, what do you want those to be? Because I think for me, what I would want them to be is I want them to basically separate the campaign and the multiplayer, because they'll probably be in the same launcher anyway. I think we've been hearing those rumors for a long time. So separate the multiplayer from the campaign so that you can basically just keep that going as an ongoing live service thing, and you like add the seasons and there it is. And then every so often, launch a new campaign that's however many dollars, or like maybe it's a $40-$50 campaign, and they throw that in there every now and then. And that could be 2 of the projects, right? You got your new campaign and you got the multiplayer as a separate thing. And then I want that third thing to be just a completely left field spin-off where like maybe you're just a settler on a planet and it's like a survival horror game against the flood, like whatever it is. I'd be very interested in that. But yeah, my question to you would be like, what direction do you want to see this go? Because they really have the opportunity to do pretty much anything right now.
A lot. Pixel, you want to go first, and then Kay, and then Hargeet, and then Coffee. We can land with you, and then we can get out of here.
Yeah, sure. So I'll make it quick. For me, it would be taking the book Contact Harvest and turning that into a third-person action adventure game. So
That's the Johnson,
Sergeant
right?
Johnson, versus the Brutes, right? Because that's the main enemies in that story. And we basically get to see it from a battle from a more human perspective. You have a guy who actually has a personality, which Chief doesn't. Right, so I think Johnson, he can carry your game, right? He's an interesting enough character that he can carry your game, and as a little bonus, he's Project Orient, so people get to find out a little bit more about that project, like the pre-Spartan project soldiers, like he's one of the survivors from that project. So you get a lot of ass kicking, and you get to see it from a different perspective. So that's kind of the story I've always wanted to see. 343 at the time make. So That's my pitch.
I remember you pitching that before when we talked like in the past. So I'm with you
Yep.
100%. I love Contact Harvest. I thought that was a really great book. Haven't read it in years, so I need to go back, man. But
Yo, I didn't realize it was like 2007.
yeah, time flies. I
Yeah, man.
had the book too. I had that and a few others I had. I can't remember the names right now, but I had them. I lost so many so many books from back then. I had manga, I had a bunch. I just lost everything. I left it behind. But yeah, man, I love that idea too. And Sergeant Johnson is that kind of standout character, even though he is a caricature in Halo CE. I do agree with you, Danny. He is.
Yes,
What?
he is.
You,
Yeah.
you
It
don't,
was
you
written
don't
at a different
appreciate the
time.
fact that he knows what the ladies like.
I
Actually, just
love
saw
what the
that.
ladies
Yeah.
like. Yeah,
I
absolutely.
saw that like 2 days ago. I was
We
replaying
was
that.
throwing rocks
Hilarious.
and we had to share the rocks. Yeah, come on. Son.
Yeah.
Like, listen, it's hokey, it's cheesy, but come on, it's hard not to love Johnson. Plus, you know, Joseph Staten wrote that book, so
Yeah,
you know you
he
get
did.
to,
That's true.
you get to borrow some actual lore. So
From the lore master.
you know.
Absolutely.
yeah,
Hoorah! But what about you, Kay? What would be the dream project for you for one of these spin-offs or multiple projects?
So you
also,
asked that question.
if you want if you want to name any dev who you would all like for them to work with to make them too, you can feel free to throw that out there with it.
I mean, now you're just in like just like dream territory, right? Okay, fantastic. All right. So you asked this question, and my brain was just like all over the place. Like, you know, who could tell a great story in that world? You know, I will hedge, and you won't like this. I'm a hedge, but I honestly think that it does it a disservice because this is at that level. Like, and I've already told you, you know, I'm in the bag for Halo. I think it should stand toe to toe with any of the really the highest critically acclaimed IPs. I wouldn't compare it to, like, I could say like a story written by, say, an Amy Hennig, meaning a story with deep ties and really thoughtful, well-driven characters, right? So I'll say that, right? But as far as a studio is concerned, the problem is usually when you want to say, hey, this studio should make it or that studio, it usually tends to be because you see something in them that would lend well to this. And honestly, I don't know if I have a studio that would lend well to it, because say what you want, 343 has gotten a lot of smoke. They've been able to recreate that Halo energy, you know, for better or worse, for some years now, right? So I maybe it's a cynical view on my part. I don't foresee a world where, say, I don't know, Obsidian makes a Halo story and nobody has anything but criticism for them, because it doesn't feel like Halo, right? What 343 did was impossible, which was make a game that feels like another creator's game. And so much so that I don't even think that Bungie would want to retread these steps again, right? Like that they would run from that, right? I suspect. So like, this is just me trying to give them some flowers here. You know, it would be interesting to, you know what I would like as far as the story is concerned, I leave it up to interpretation. I want the initiative to pen a new Halo story. And what do I mean by that? I mean, as we've come to know from the initiative, they start the project and then they based on the what they have on the page from a prototype perspective, they then find the right studio that could potentially see it to its fullest fruition and its full vision. From a boots on the ground big Halo fan that I am, I would love the initiative to pen a Halo project, right? Where it turns into, what it turns into, what genre it turns into, that is all up for debate. But the fact that they look at that IP with those kind of eyes is what I think they need, because that's what keeps like Mario relevant, right? How many genres do you find Mario games in?
A bunch.
They are known for their platformer, but there's so many more, so much more, right?
Yeah.
I want Microsoft, instead of mothballing him when he makes a misstep, right? Give different eyes a look at it. I was listening to Septic Sauce talk about it on his show a couple days ago, over the weekend.
Yeah.
You know, he wants him to take a animatrix approach to the Halo franchise.
Oh, I like that.
I agree with. So that's my hedge.
I like that. I do. And imagine, I mean, because Coffee kind of said, he said cover based, so that goes in line with the coalition. So you
There you
could.
go.
I can see that. I can see that. No, I like that. I like both you guys' thoughts so far. Hargeet, what would it be for you? What would be your dream spin-off game or whatever with the lore of Halo? Who would you have make it to?
So I mean, the first part is that the spin-off, it's a spin-off, right? So the Master Chief has to continue, and we have to get. I want the Atriox story to continue.
Hey,
There's
facts.
so much there.
Too much.
So I hope they do that, right?
Yep.
And it's set up perfectly. You had the 5 generals all the way to Atriox, right? It's like they have to continue that story. But okay, outside of that, the first thing I think they should do is, and we'll see how well it works out with Lego Horizon, is do a Lego Halo. I would love to see something that like makes it more, introduces it to more people in a totally different format, right? And you might laugh at that, but I think it's a good thing. I think
This makes
good to
perfect
You
bring.
should
sense.
totally play Hargeet. You should totally play the Mega Blocks prototype that's floating out there. I got a chance to get my hands on it. If you play that, you will like. It's almost like you've played it and you're having this conversation. You see the spark right there. Oh my God, the Lego Halo game we never got. It's really good.
Yep.
Well, but like make it official. Just make a Lego Halo game, right? And
Yeah.
but either way, so that one potential, so there could be an odd like suspense horror one, and you could pick many of the studios out there. Like, I guess the premier one would probably be the Capcom Resident Evil team, but I don't know if they would ever be interested in doing something like that. So, but if you're saying, hey, why not just, let's say like you somehow magically could do that, since they somehow magically got Crystal Dynamics to say we're gonna actually work on your game instead of our game, why not, right? That will be the other one, is Crystal Dynamics, like you mentioned, Asante, right? They have initiative working along with Crystal Dynamics on one of the other older IPs, Perfect Dark. They certainly could take a stab at it and make a similar vein kind of game in a third-person action adventure, right? And how you do that, whatever. But they can pick one of the storylines. But that would be something to do. They could continue with the RTS thing with the Halo Wars 3. But I think like trying to do that, what COG would say #just1. But this is obviously an existing IP. Why not do that sort of God of War 2018 treatment and take Halo to a different direction? It doesn't have to be Master Chief. I think it should be somebody else, but like bring that level of first, I guess personal immersion, right, with a third person perspective in a different format, right, than what we're used to, and sort of a more which is like personal a journey, right, instead of just a hey, I'm fighting for humanity. No, this is more of a personal journey, and maybe that's what like Pixel BG were talking about, right? I don't know that story, but that would be kind of cool. I like and I think Master Cheeks sort of gave us the idea of the growth pattern of Master Chief himself, right? Well, that could happen. You could have that kind of thing where it's, I'm going out trying to understand what the hell's happening in this world. I'm being told to do these things. I'm conflicting, like whatever, right? And have that kind of storyline, right? That'd be another thing to potentially do. I think that's plenty. But again, as I said, I want them to be bold and go to other storylines. I would love to see Forerunner stuff, the formation of the Halo rings, all this stuff that's out there. Formation of the Flood. Like, there's so much of that stuff that we could go talk about and have that be the story, right? And there's plenty of universes within this universe that you could go into and delve into and have fun with. So that would be something that would be interesting. Again, have to have Master Chief continue, but like all these other areas, I'd love it to go into different directions. Show us some of that, even if it's like a Halo Warsy thing that shows us the formation of the Covenant. Fine, but whatever it is, I want to see something like that. Like, go to different parts of the timeline. Let's see some old stuff. Let's see the Forerunners do what they're doing. All this tech that they have out there, right? Let's see what happens there, right? So
it's a lot they can do there. Well, speaking of the whole Forerunner and the Covenant situation, I remember one from Alvin usually in our chat. One of his ideas was using a story based around Atriox and the Banished, where they are initially Covenant, and following missions by the prophets and such, and then eventually find out the truth as we know they do, and then turn and use that. That would be a good one. Also too, well, I'll give mine really quick. I would love a spinoff that's kind of more third-person action based for Fireteam Osiris. I know we don't know what's up. It's kind of up in the air what's going on with them now, which is why we need Chief's story to finish and continue so we can see what happened to Locke and team. But I would love a third person rather, like action-based game where you can move around much more fluid as we saw in Halo 5, the way Spartans really move. And in a vein of something like, and we spoke about this, Pixel, like in a vein of what's the name of that game again by Sega? Vanquish. By Vanquish, exactly. Something in the vein of that I would like. I could even see them. Remember they had these Halo games that were like top down twin stick shooters. Imagine them doing not quite that, but something in the vein of an ARPG, but with Halo. Like I can see that working so well with the ODS team or something like that, trying to survive the flood or something like that, or hell, even Fire Team Osiris, even if you want it, Blue Team. There's so many ways they can go with that.
I just thought of something crazy. I would very much love to have like an XCOM style Halo game where you make your own fire team.
Oh, that would be dope.
That'd be so cool.
That would be dope.
That would be dope.
Who
in
makes
the
those
veins
games?
of Gears,
Firaxis.
in the vein of Gears Tactics, and
Close to
Kinda,
that.
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Get
Well, it's based on XCOM, but yeah, a lot of characters that die though. You gotta have the ability to lose character because that's what adds the flavor to XCOM, right?
The permadeath, you're saying?
Yeah, you gotta have permadeath. Must have it.
Oh man, now that'll be dope. That would be dope. Just to read a few in the chat who said some things. Kei Nakagawa, he said he would like want to see other stories that featured other surviving Spartans. The books are a good place to start. I agree. Cygnus, our resident Hoove brother, he says, I want a separated standalone Mass Effect based Halo. He's saying just pure AAA single player open world. I like that too. You won't hear any objections over here. Coffee, I'll go to you and then we'll get out of here. What will be your kind of dream spinoff project for Halo in the lore?
All right. So picture this, right? You're on a ship and you got a bunch of ODSTs on the ship and they're going to another planet to go basically fight a battle. And during that actual travel process, they're traveling through and they're in slip space and the flood managed to get on board. And essentially you're tasked with third person shooter. You're tasked with having to go through this horror infested environment where AI on the ship has kind of let the flood do what they need to do to see if they can figure out a way to stop the flood. So they're letting them take victims to kind of study it. And there's an AI that is rampant that is basically letting the flood do just that on purpose. And your sole goal as the ODST is to find the one sole Spartan on this ship that you can wake up that is in sleep, that you can wake up to help you battle this flood infection that is spread across the ship, to an inevitable outcome where you get to the end of the game and you realize that the AI that is controlling the ship is actually somebody like Cortana, the chief, and that Spartan starts to go against the ODST and fight against the ODST, and you have a major battle and a climactic finish in that ship where you have to basically kill a Spartan.
You gotta,
Damn. Well,
gotta
all
take
right.
the Spartan out, huh?
That's dope.
When did the Covenant get to you, Coffee?
I've always liked the idea of having. We've been playing as Spartans for so long, and I get it. Like they're these big, 10-foot combat warriors that everybody like. I've always loved the idea of actually giving free reign to like having them as an enemy, and like seeing how they fight or go up against you, and how they can use their skill sets. And you're just like this ODST human being who has got to somehow fight this massive human that
Killing
is
machine.
modified.
It sounds
And
like
it-
Suicide Squad a little bit when they fall against Batman. a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, it just puts a twist onto something that, like, it's instead of the norm where you have a hero that's unstoppable, that like you always have to kind of keep at bay because you're still a player interacting with this universe. If you read the books, Spartans are unstoppable. Like they do 10 times more than what we do in the game. So like imagine playing a game where you actually see this happen firsthand, and instead of you being able to, combat in a level where you have an advantage, you have to use you and 3 other team members to take down one fucking Spartan.
Oh man.
Like that is to me,
Yeah,
that
yeah,
is
we
more
got
interesting than anything else.
It
because
sounds
you
very
get-
interesting.
and this Spartan has a tie to the AI that is basically infected the ship, and it's like that Cortana in Chief situation where this individual Spartan is like tied to that AI and is like, you can't hurt her, you can't destroy her because that's my AI, and now you have this conflict happening within
Sounds
all
like
of
those
that.
multiplayer games, right? Where you like are 4 players or 5 players against like one, right? Or
Oh,
one
like those
monster,
scary
right?
games. Yeah.
I'd like to
Yeah.
be more story driven, like more like you're
Right,
playing as
right.
one person in the squad. And like, I mean, we see it with Gears, right? Like you can create characters like Dominic Santiago and Coltrane, and you can create these characters and you don't have to necessarily play as them. But they're like, if the narrative is written correctly and the story is good and like it makes sense and there's an arc, and then you have this like ending where you have to basically combat something that you've loved for so long and that you hold so dear to your heart. I mean, nothing, dude, like there's nothing better than that if you ask me. Like, you know, I when Joel died in Last of Us Part 2, Ben, I was clapping. I was like, my tears are coming out right now. I
You
like
were
this.
clapping.
Yeah. So
Yeah, it's the very opposite of the PlayStation brothers. They were upset.
I don't know. I just think that there's a beautiful bliss to seeing something that you love that inevitably succumbs to something that you hate, and it creates more of that want to succeed. Like I think that Joel dying in that game made me angrier at the people that killed him, and
Gave you
I
bigger
want
to
I
avenge
got
him.
closer to the character because of it, because I was like, oh shit, like that they did it, you know. So I think that'd be awesome for a Spartan.
I guess
know?
like it has to be a case where it's well written for that to work for me. Like they can't just do it, right? Like it has to be a George R.R. Martin-esque like send off. Like I know that's his philosophy is to kill your babies, as he says, right? Like I don't want the Spartan just to die just because. Like give me, like you said, a solid narrative behind it.
Well, I mean, if in that wartime, right, where they were created to go, they were created to fight humans, right? So I
Yeah,
think
true.
that's kind of an interesting thing to do is talk about that war, and I like it from both angles. I would love to have like an arbiter chief equivalent where you see it from both sides, and you're like, yo, I don't know if I agree with just wiping these people out, or well, on the other side, it's like, how the hell do I even fight this thing? Like, what the hell is this, right? And
You just throw him donuts.
I like it.
Throw Master Cheek some donuts, and he'll succumb to it.
Cortana, what is this round thing? Does Chief even know what a donut is? I don't know.
My suit is quite tighter today.
right. No, that's some great ideas. You know, I just thought about it, but a Metroidvania-based Halo game with one of the Spartans running around, kind of like a Samus Aran. I can see that working too. Now that I just thought about it. Yeah.
But
Yeah,
again,
I'd play
right?
that.
It's that thing, right? Of like lightning in a bottle, right? What's amazing is that we're throwing out all these concepts, but like as long as we have these characters that we love so much and how cool they look, and like Spartans and ODST, it doesn't really matter what they do. Like that's again attesting to the fact of what an IP that Xbox has created here. That we would take anything at this point as long as it's
Yeah.
Halo and it's not Halo theme.
So
it'd
true.
be badass.
Yeah.
So.
So true. But let's get out of here, fellas. Folks in the chat, thank you all for being here. Anybody that's still lurking around, there's got to be a good amount of you because I don't see you commenting. But please hit the like button, as my brother Dirt would say, hit the like button. And if you have not done so, consider subscribing to us. We would appreciate it. Also, for anybody coming back later hearing this, if you are here now, be sure to leave a comment after the fact as well, to help with the algorithm. I think this was a great discussion here. Personally, should have been more people that stuck around, but I know it's so many different shows going on. It is what it is. But without further ado, let's get out of here. Starting with my brother Kay. Kay, thanks again for coming through, brother. I know you had a lot going on just in real life itself, in life. I don't want to say in real life. That sounds very stupid, but you get my point. Play too many damn games. I'm sorry. It was just going on in life and everything like that. But and also, of course, you got a show coming up this Saturday still, right? You guys going live?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Yeah, we are going live. Thank you so much for having me. Appreciate it. I love coffee. Great chatting with you, sir. A lot of great insights. I look forward to hearing more from you, sir. We appreciate listening to folks that can provide the knowledge. You know, I always appreciate that. So it was awesome chatting with you. Yeah, man. Thanks for having me. You know, the rest of the squad in here. Daniel, it's been a minute since we chatted. I hope we could talk some more. It's been a while. Always always appreciate hearing your takes. And I almost got myself a Daniel McGee rant today, so this was a good day. You know, it's a beautiful thing. You know,
There you go.
when McGee's on a roll, you know what it is. It's a beautiful thing. It's good. It's good. So yes, and of course, you know, Hargeet and the lore master himself, Mr. Pixelbit G. Always a pleasure, sir. Thank you guys so much for having me. I mean, you can, you know, catch the GCP this weekend, Gaming Circle podcast, myself and Everborn Saga. We will have game designer from Game Fam coming on. They actually have a game they're releasing very soon. It's coinciding with Next Fest. So and actually I think Xbox has already started. If you for the Xbox fans in the room, if you haven't paid attention, go to that store. You'll see there's a section with like copious amounts of demos right now. And Next Fest will be soon upon us. I think starting this weekend as well, where there'll just be a whole bunch of demos. And Jakob from Game Farm will be presenting. Will be talking about his game, which is Jotun Slayer: Hordes of Hell. Really interesting game that I've really been enjoying the early access of. Just a demo of it. Elevator pitch. It's basically Diablo 4, but in the Vampire Survivors genre. So there you go. Really cool. And it looks like Diablo 4, like graphically, it's beautiful.
Yep.
Yeah, so we'll be talking to him this weekend as well. So thank y'all once again. Appreciate y'all for having me, and hope to see you this weekend.
Absolutely. We'll be there for sure. Jotun Slayer, Hordes of Hell looks dope. If you all have not seen it, check it out on Steam. It's on Steam DB. You can check it out and see some gameplay and visuals of it. It looks really good. So, and I trust my brother here. He has great taste in gaming like myself. So if he's saying it's like that,
yeah.
of course, you know. But yeah, I look forward to you guys' discussion. Going on to my brother Pixelbit G, man, thank you for coming through as well, brother. I really appreciate it. Loved you guys' takes, by the way. Everybody, you gave great energy today, and it can be kind of daunting with like so many people on a panel. So I appreciate how we kept it flowing roughly, and everybody got a chance to get their bars out. Pixel, thanks for joining, man. Tell the good folks where they can find you and what you'll be up to.
I won't be up to much because I'll be being stuck at work more times than not. But you know, as usual, man, it's always a pleasure to be on here with you. You know, Hargeet, you know what I'm saying? Asante, you know what I'm saying? I've been on shows many times with him as well. Nice meeting you, man. Coffee, like really interesting conversation, man. I think you know, we'll probably be talking more about this engine stuff for a long time now. There's been all these changes coming and with more studios moving over. So, you know, as always, man, you know, much appreciated. I'll show up the next time you ask, bro.
Appreciate you, brother. And Hargeet, my brother, thank you for joining in, man. What I love about Hargeet is you will find him on so many different shows because everybody values your takes, right? You give great takes in general. Well, you give great takes to me. Some people hate you, to be fair.
They do.
But I like how you just you just brush your shoulder off, like I'm good, whatever. I appreciate that about you, and that you're always willing to come through and help a brother out if we need to have you for a discussion. Very much appreciated. Thanks for joining, man. Where can the good folks find you? I know it won't be on Twitter, but
no, it won't.
And what you'll be up to.
Yeah, so Discord if you want, Chani, and then hey, you can subscribe to my channel. It's Hargeet Chani 1 on YouTube, and you can also pick up my book if you want. I wrote a sci-fi novel, Emergence. It's shop.chani.us. Check that out. Pixelwitchy, is that like the Everborn Saga image? Is that what your profile pic is?
I think he stepped away, but to answer, yes, that is. He's
He's
actually part of the
I'm
book.
Still here.
Oh, there
yes,
you go.
Yeah, that is me in his.
Awesome.
Yeah. So.
Maybe I'll do the same thing because I'm gonna be on the next one.
Yeah,
Nice.
It's so cool. Yeah,
Nice.
exactly. Yeah, I'll be on the next one as well. So yeah, no doubt.
I'm getting in. I got to get in on that game, by the way. I got to get in on that. I want to be in the comic too.
Yeah, it's
well, you missed the thing.
I know.
The Kickstarter.
I'm gonna send him some
It's
money
a-
through
it's a high
PayPal later or
price,
something. I'm gonna pay him off later.
Right. Either way, so and then tomorrow I'll be on with C Money and Doodle on night shifts, 8 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time, and you can check us out with Web Dave at 7 p.m. on Sunday, 7 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time. on Web Dave's channel, and then whatever, I'll be back on Boom's channel. I am on too many podcasts. Nice to chat with all of you guys. It's I think this is the first time coffee. I don't think we've been on
Yeah,
anything
first time.
before. Yeah, and certainly I've been with all of the other folks here. So I guess Pixel, you were very upset the last time we were together when what the heck was the announcement? Something went like multi-plat or something. and you
I
guys
remember
were
that
all dying,
discussion.
like, oh my god!
I remember that
I mean,
discussion with
upset,
you
I
all.
wouldn't call it upset. We just had a difference of opinion.
Yes.
I'm not.
Yeah,
I'm
right.
not here to agree with any of y'all. That's not my job, right? So
He's just passionate.
sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry if you thought it was more than just a disagreement, my friend. Because it is what it is.
You all were just passionate. That's all. It was passionate.
He's passionate. Like,
Yes.
okay, all right. But either way, yeah, and till next time, right?
Yes.
Enjoy Halo. It's awesome, and this is great news.
Absolutely. Coffee, I'll let you get your sign out, and I'm going to make sure, by the way, to add your details and information, Hargeet, later on tonight, as far as where people can find you and your book and everything else. Coffee, I'm going to make sure to add you as well. I don't know if you want me to add anything else for you, but I'll talk with you after the show.
Yeah. I would say add my YouTube channel, but I'm not even doing anything yet.
Not yet.
Because,
Okay.
Yeah, because I work from West Coast time zone, so like it's hard for me to do stuff at nighttime because I'm
Gotcha.
like, I'm usually working until like 8, 9 o'clock at night Eastern.
Understandable.
But yeah, I'll try. I want to just start off by saying, everybody out there, go play Warhammer 2, Space Marine 2, and go play Kill Knight.
Oh yeah.
Go do yourself a favor right now. We support games like this. If we keep buying and supporting games like this, we're gonna get more of them. And I think that, especially Space Marine 2, is such an important game right now because it shows that like people want that old school 360 type of game once again. So anyway, I digress. Let me get back into what I'm saying. As far as being on the show, it's been awesome talking with you guys and just giving my 2 cents. If you guys want to find me, I'm on Twitter, ilovecoffee 83, or you can find me at a local Dunkin' Donuts drinking too much coffee. Either way, I try to stay naturally hydrated with caffeine to keep my busy work schedule going. But yeah, it's been an honor to talk to you guys and speak about games, and I look forward to many more of this. And that's about it.
Absolutely, brother. Thank you for joining us, giving your knowledge, and don't go too crazy on the strong blend of coffee there.
Dude, I got 3 kids, man. I need coffee.
Yeah. But yeah, man, here's to the future of Halo. And last but not least, my illustrious co-star, Daniel J. McGee. As always, thank you for your takes, brother, and your knowledge and your rants, as Kay would point out.
Thank you.
Tell the good folks what you'll be up to and where they can find you. And of course, I know you just put out a new video. Of course, you guys make sure you check that out.
Absolutely. I actually checked it like during the podcast, and it's a video about Halo, and at the time I checked it had 117 views, and I was like,
oh nice.
Oh yeah, is that correct? So yeah, I just put up a video talking about basically the same stuff we talked here, but just by myself and for a longer period of time, I guess. So if you're interested in that, hey, I know I really sold it to you, go ahead and go and watch that. And if you're not interested, still go watch it, just like mute it and then subscribe and share it with your friends. But you can find me on Twitter at Daniel J. McGee, or at my personal YouTube channel, where you should do all those things I said earlier. That's just Daniel McGee. I assume it's in the description. I think it's always been there. But yeah, that's all I got.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'll make sure to, like I said, to share the guests all their links in a while. You guys make sure you go check them out, subscribe, or follow them, or whatever the case may be. And be there Saturday for Kay's show for the GCP. And we'll get up out of here. Myself, of course, Infinite Umbra Infinite. Either way on Twitter, you'll find me. And Tuesdays, Xbox Factor with Boom and Jamie Moran, 12 o'clock Eastern. Here again with myself and Danny on Thursdays, typically 8 o'clock Eastern. The Infinite Podcast with Risk It for the Biscuit, myself, That Blue Number, Dante, and Spriggan, a.k.a. Spriggan, and Garuda Intruder at times when he can make it, on Fridays at 8 o'clock Eastern. I'm busy, but not as busy as you on these podcasts, Hargeet. You got me faded, man. But I do guest here and there, to be fair. Shout out to you all. Thank you all for being here in the chat. Thank you all. And if you have not done so, hit that like button on your exit and subscribe if you have not. Much love to you all. We'll get out of here. Have a great weekend, everybody.